Joy, welcome back again. Hopefully, you're all doing well. And today we've got a show for you completely based on the incoming, of course, of Berta, who will be announced sort of probably in the next coming sort of weeks or so. But thanks to the mess that Mikel Arteta and Edu's left for him, he's got a job on his hands. Let's get it absolutely right. So, of course, you'll have noticed the title is called the Summer of Sixes, pretty much because basically I believe there's three major departments that we need major work on. And I believe realistically looking from it, there's 6 new contracts that massively need signing. 6 sales that absolutely have to be made. Some of that deadwood still lingering around there. And of course, there's 6 new signings that need to come in. Now, that's being realistic. I know that there's more, but let's be realistic. That in itself, 18 pieces of business, that's a lot of work to do in one summer for the new man, Berta. Will he be up to it? Well, we're going to sort of get into that right now. And we'll go through it in that order. But first, let me introduce the panel. And before I do, don't forget, like and subscribe. All the lads' links, they will be in the title as well. We're going to get to 500. Trust me, we will be getting there very soon. But yeah, to my right, Shane, one of the first people that you need to be liking and subscribing to. How are you doing, my brother? Thank you very much for giving me your time again, man.
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. Looking forward to it. I think it's an interesting topic. I did think when I saw the 666 in the heading that it was referring to Arteta. If you shaved that fucking Lego hair off, that it'd be imprinted on his head. But no, very, very interesting topic. Yeah, like you said, the summer's going to be it's an uphill struggle. But looking forward to it. Looking forward to talking about it and see if we can make some sense of it, because I don't know if it's possible to make sense of it, really.
Yeah, no, that's it. Well, we're going to go through it. And of course, the gentleman to the right of you is Carl from Gun Down. Don't forget to subscribe to him. How you doing, my brother? Thank you very much for giving me your time.
All good, mate. Brand new, fresh week. Get ready to do some content regarding what we've got coming up in the summer regarding Berta. It's going to be interesting. I think you are right to a certain degree that we do need some departures will be going. We already know 2 of them because they're on loan and they're effing useless. But the amount of players that we need to bring in, I mean, the same 3 names keep cropping up, and it's giving my head an aneurysm. It really is. So yeah, we'll have a bit more of this topic on that as well. So and big up to Shane. Hope he's well. Big up to the chat.
Yeah, of course, man. Well, yeah. Before I get started, I'm going to come to the chat as well. Because they're the most important of everyone. So big up as well, Rashid, bruv. Thank you very much. Yeah, slap the likes up and all of that. Do you know what I mean? Support the team, support the community and all of that. Joe, big up, brother. How you doing, man? Absolute legend. You are too fucking kind. How you doing, my man? Yeah, Dazza as well. The geezer who sits next to me at the Arsenal, man. Big up to you as well. Always, my friend. Yeah, man. 3 legends. Yeah, like I said, you are too kind. I'll start blushing in a minute. Aces, thank you very much for the watch, brother. You know, man. Been here for a long time, man. Yeah, big up as well. AFC always. Ditto as well, brother. Big up to you, man. Lawrence as well. How you doing, Lawrence? Good question for you, Aaron. Why is it taking the club an eternity to announce this news? Yeah, typical fucking bullshit. Yeah, bullshit. Dragging their heels to get a signing over the line. Yeah, well, listen, look, I'm sure they negotiate via carrier pigeon, mate. I always say it takes them ages to get over the line. Have absolutely anything, doesn't it? Let's face it. But look, we're here to talk a bit about Berta, and I want to start off with is this contracts, because there are a lot to do, and let's just say there's 6 players right now with 2 or so years left on their deal. Now, I actually remember about 5 or so years ago, Arsenal saying, we will never be in a situation again where we're letting our players run their contracts down for 2 years. But fast forward half that decade, the same sort of setup, and here we go. We've got Miles Lewis-Skelly and Ranieri. You'd hope that'd be fairly straightforward to get sort of done. And then you've got Martinelli, and then more worryingly, Bukayo Saka, Gabriel, and of course, Saliba. Now I'm going to start off with Nwaneri and Miles Lewis-Skelly. And what I will do as well is get a little graphic up here, just so people can sort of see the rough wage structures that we're dealing with at the minute. And if you scroll all the way, well, if you go down all the way to the bottom, of course, you'll see, and this is from this season, of course, by the way, Arsenal wages, 24-25. You will see Miles Lewis-Skelly on $4,000 and Ethan Nwaneri on 6. It's funny because they're 2 of our best players and 2 of our most expensive players are sunning it up, sitting out, chilling out on 280 and 265 combined. It's madness, the wage structure, isn't it? But look, listen, boys, I mean, in terms of the wages that they need to sort of be offered, they're probably going to want to sign proper deals, aren't they, in this summer? Let's get it sort of right. And I'll come to Shane first. I don't want Arsenal making silly mistakes here with the pair of them. And by that, I mean rewarding them their first contract and giving them something like 100+ grand. They deserve an absolute pay rise, but not in the 100 grands yet. What I'm sort of thinking in the 50s, 60s, maybe 70s, sort of a push. Shane, what are you sort of thinking of these two? Easy to get done. What dough would you offer them?
I think 40 grand is enough for a 17 and 18-year-old, but in today's market in football, is it? I don't know. I don't see them getting their head turned yet. I would be more worried if there wasn't outside pressure starting on Arteta. You know, if there was no pressure whatsoever, they might be looking at it going, God, how long is he going to be here? Because trust me, players are thinking that. They're thinking that, especially attacking players, especially when Miles Lewis-Skelly is a natural 8 and Nwaneri should be playing 10 and they're being played out of position. And I know they're young, I know there's time and all that stuff, but we've seen it before with them. We've seen it before with Arteta running these young lads into the ground. You just have to look at Saka. You know, for all we know, he'll never be the same, you know, and every single fan, every single pundit must have seen it coming. We all knew it was coming. The kid was getting flogged into the ground. And yeah, I think 40 grand for anybody that age should be enough. I wouldn't know the full ins and outs of how it works these days, you know, but you could give them a 40 grand and say, you know, we'll look at it again in a year, depending on performances and stuff like that. You know, it doesn't have to be a big, like you said, a big, massive one. They end up breaking their leg or they end up... With these two, it's pretty safe that they will be good. I mean, with some youngsters, you're like, I don't know, he might be good, he might not, you know, Rashford sort of thing. But with these two, you can see it, man. They're solid players. But yeah, I think 40 grand to 50, like you said, is more than enough. And as I mentioned, just put a stipulation in it that we'll review it in a year and we could double it then if you're, you know, if you play a certain amount of starts or if you know, let the agents trash that out. But yeah, they shouldn't be going mad because we were pointing out that wage bill the last time you put it up, and it just needs to be vertically flipped, and then you'd have the best players are at the bottom. You know, Timber and Lewis-Skelly and Nwaneri and the like have been our best players this year. You know, and then you look at Havertz and Jesus, and I mean, how are you going to get rid of them? That's another thing that just terrifies me. And Berta has got some job in his hand, but you know, he'll be smart enough to talk these kids around, and I'm sure he's been there, done it in 13 years at Atletico. It doesn't come easy. And yeah, I wouldn't be going nuts at them, but I'd definitely be paying them enough to keep them here for a while.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, I totally agree with the points that you make. The thing is, as well, as we've made these silly mistakes, and I'll come on to Martinelli in a second, but we made the mistake of him, you know, when he first came to Arsenal, he was on 35 grand, which I think is absolutely fair. You know, he had that really good season under Emery, scored, I think, maybe 9 goals as a striker, and we doubled his wages to 70 grand. You're thinking, yeah, okay, yeah, that's absolutely fair. He had one good season under Mikel Arteta, and they give him 180 grand. That's got to stop. And, you know, the copy and paste really with Martin Odegaard. You've got to have one half decent season. We just blow our load. We go all in, you know, and that's sort of why I wanted to start with him, you know, because yeah, they've been absolutely fantastic, you know, but you start giving them 120s and then, you know what I mean? That's their next pay rise. That's the next two. They need to be giving us another really good season next season to make sure that this one ain't really a fluke, or just to make sure that this season they're not just the best out of a bad bunch, you know. Yeah, 50 grand, I think 50, 60 grand there or thereabouts maximum. I think I'm right with you, you know. Now, I think to me says, yep, we believe in you. You've absolutely deserved this. Now, if you want 100 grand, 25, 26 season, go and be the best left back, Miles Lewis-Skelly, if that's where we're going to play you. Ethan Nwaneri, knock Odegaard off his perch. You know, be a backup to Saka. Be that player. Don't just make a one-season wonder. Carl, what do you think of it, bruv?
30, 40 grand a week for Lewis-Skelly is probably ideal right now. He still has a lot of growing up to do. Although he's had 2 back-to-back very good performances for England in the last 2 games. So big up to Miles Lewis-Skelly. He's done really, really well for England. I still think just because you've come in, you've done really well in one season, doesn't necessarily mean we should be giving you into the 100,000s category in that sense, especially with his age as well. When you give a player of his caliber, of his age, that sort of money, you'd hopefully expect him to, you know, manage it a little bit better. You don't know what this guy is like on the off the field. We don't know what he's like as just a general person. You know, he could just splash cash all over the place, and you can do. You're entitled to what you want with your money, what you spend. But I say with the youngsters, like with Miles and with Ethan and Emery, you put them on 30, 40 grand a week and say, okay, and I agree with what Shane said, put them on 30, 40 grand a week, give them a season. Let's see how you do. If you reach the same as you did this season, or if not better, then we'll look back on your contract and we may increase it to like 60, 70, 80. Then you can probably understand that, yeah, okay, that's fine. But to shoot them straight up onto like 100 grand a week, even 200 grand a week, that's just financial gross misconduct. That really, really is. You wouldn't expect that. I mean, some of the list on here is absolutely mind-boggling. I mean, there's only 4 players. Hang on, can you move that comment so I can actually?
I will do. Yep.
No, thank you, buddy. There's only 6 players that's on under 100 grand a week: Timber, Trossard, Kivior, Neto, and Wembley and Skelly. The rest are all on 100 grand a week plus. I mean, how is that sustainable for the books? I generally do not know. But yeah, I agree. But Lewis Skelly, 30, 40 grand a week. Same with Ethan and Wembley. Do it again next season. We'll increase it a little bit more. Maybe we'll add another year onto the contract as well. But what I've always said, one swallow doesn't make a summer. If Lewis Skelly absolutely stinks out the joint next year, then we know you can't give him that sort of big money. It's the same with Ethan and Wembley. Yeah. But, you know, what Ethan and Wembley done the under-21s against Portugal last night was absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah.
And, and people say, oh, he can't play in the number 10 because that's Odegaard's position. Guess what, mate? I've seen enough games of him Wembley in that position to warrant him a position to start.
Yeah.
But that'll be next season. Not this coming season, because we've got to stick him on the right because Saka is still injured or on the verge of coming back. But we'll get into that later on. But no, I agree with what Shane and what you said, Aaron. You know, stick him on 40, 50 grand a week, see how they get on. If they improve, put them up higher. You're rewarded for your excellent performances and your output. That's how you should be. That's how you should be monitored as a footballer, not due to the fact that, you know, you're this stuff. Can you imagine if we do end up getting Sesko and they stick him on like 200 grand a week? Like,
yeah,
what the
I can, sadly.
What the fuck are we doing?
Yeah. Listen, that's the thing as well. You know, it's especially with these younger players. You know, you've got that sort of opportunity to be able to not control their wages, sort of as such, but, you know, to sort of say like, yeah, you know, you've come through like the ranks. You know, earn it. You know, you've not bought a world star that's basically said like, yeah, you know, we're going to give you 250k a week to be that world star for 3, 4, 5 years. You know, you have got that sort of growth. It's that earn it every sort of year. You give Ethan and Miles Lewis Skelly from 4 grand and 6 grand, 100 grand, which you can very unfortunately see Arsenal doing. All of a sudden, then that's it. They're just like, oh well, we're quite rich now, aren't we? You know, I think you do take away a little bit that hunger, as opposed to that incentive. Next season, come and earn it, mate. That's it. Do it again. We'll double it. Do that again. We'll double it. Do you know what I mean? I don't think there's anything wrong with that incentive sort of base. But let's move on to Martinelli, because this is the one that tricks me a little bit. I don't really know here because he's got 2 years left on his deal. He's like I said earlier, he went from 35 to 70 and then one good season, 180. Basically, sort of saying what I don't want to happen. The latter two. How much of a pay rise for him's deserved? I mean, I don't think he deserves one, but this club are going to probably try and protect their asset with him, you know, and tie him sort of down. But I don't want to start seeing him getting 240Ks a week and things like that. I mean, or will he sign an extension on the same money? That's also, you know, his agent probably will try and get him 190, 200. He don't really deserve it. Personally, for me, what do you reckon, Shane? It's a tricky one with Martinelli, isn't it? Because he's on too much already.
Yeah, he's on too much as it is. And then we're stuck in that typical Arsenal space of with his contract being short enough that you won't get a big money for him. And if you want him to stay, you have to up his wages. But it's another corner that we've backed ourselves into, which we always seem to do, you know. And the thing with Martinelli is, if he went basically anywhere else, especially a team that plays attacking football, he'd be unreal. He would be unreal because he was in that 22-23 season before he was shackled, before him and Saka were made into just two wingers that have to cover the right and left backs. You know, so it's not fully his fault in my eyes that he's dropped off so much. It's his fault, of course, that he's dropped off a bit. He's got very predictable. He used to be quite unpredictable. But yeah, you see, it's the one, like, if we weren't so short, if we hadn't left ourselves so short on players, we wouldn't need them, you know. And we have no bargaining chips, you know. The squad is so small, and we're looking at the wages there, and you know, Arteta would probably turn around and go, "Oh, like, we're third most wages," or, you know, he'd find a way to spin it. But it's because our squad's so small. If we had the same size squad as everybody else, our wages would be through the roof. You know, we're already close to the other big spenders with a much smaller squad. You know, and with Martinelli, I loved him in 22-23. I loved him under Emery, and then the start of the previous season when we just began the season as a defensive team, and he was just lost. The guy was just lost, and we talked about this before. When you see him now, when he does get a run at the defender, for that last little push, he's out of breath. He's gone because he's normally, after coming from the left back position, by the time he gets to the byline, he's shot. You know, so if someone like Klopp, who knows an attacking player, pointed him out, you know he's a good player. You know, it's just that I don't see him recovering that form under Arteta. I just don't see it because the tactics don't suit him. The tactics do not suit him. So would we be better letting him go and getting someone that suits the tactics, and then, you know, lose Arteta the following summer and then have to go again? I don't know. I don't know if we should just give him the contract and hope Arteta gets sacked by Christmas and a manager that can use him probably comes in. So, you know, yeah, I don't really have an answer on that one. If it was me, I wouldn't be giving him more. But if you're going to have to give him another year, you probably have to give him more, and that's the problem.
Yeah, it's sort of another case of Arsenal with their wage structure and the way that they've sort of handled contract negotiations throughout numerous amounts of years now. That's what they've done, is backed themselves into corner after corner after corner. And, you know, Martinelli ain't the only example of it. You know, we're going to be there with Martin Odegaard very soon, and you're sitting there, he's going to have 1 year left on his deal, you know, whatever, and he's going to be wanting 300, and you're just thinking, Martin, no way. They should. Martin Odegaard was on, I think, 100, 120. He should have been put on, say, 180 then after that. And then he should have had another season or two before earning this 240. It's the same sort of copy and paste point that we can make with the vast majority of this squad. You know, Kai Havertz has sort of come in at them astronomical wages, and you're thinking he's an unproven in England, especially 3 bad years at Chelsea. And you know, we're giving him wages that says he's, you know, an absolute global superstar that can that's going to win us stuff. Do you know what I mean? We've really sort of handcuffed the geezer. But look, I'll move on. Go on, Cole. Go on.
It's a good job we're not in American sport, because we would be in absolute cap hell right now with these numbers. And Prome Shop actually said something really, really interesting there. Wouldn't it be good to lower the wages and put on a better bonus system? Yeah. So, say for example, all the players, let's say like most of the players are on 90 grand a week, maybe 100 grand a week. Let's just say they're on 100 grand a week, right? But you get an extra £1 million if you win one of the cups. You get an extra 4 million if you win the league. You get an extra 8, 9, maybe 10 million if you win the Champions League. How's that for an incentive?
Yeah. Well, it would. It's performance-based, isn't it? That's it. That's what it should be. You should obviously have a base standard wage of what the club think you're worth. That's bloody realistic, because whoever does contract negotiations clearly is a million miles away from what's realistic. I mean, that's just an absolute fact in itself, because you can see the wages are here for everyone to see. They're nowhere near on the level. I'll move on to Bukayo Saka, and I'll bring Natster on this one. Big up. Thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, no worries, man. Look, this is now where it sort of starts getting into the, you know, kind of need these guys to sign. And that's obviously contract number 4 in Bukayo Saka. having a little look at this wage structure at the minute, he's on 195k. For him to sign a new extension, you know, is he going to be Arsenal's highest paid player? Is he going into the 300s? Is he going 290 ahead of Kai Havertz? I'm not being funny. If you're his agent, you're going to be wanting him to be Arsenal's highest paid player, aren't you, in that stuff?
Yeah, if I was in Saka's position, and obviously even more so the agent, yeah, absolutely. I'd be even going further, saying, well, if you're offering Kai Havertz 280k a week, you know, Ozil was on 350, and what did he do towards the end, especially from when he got that contract till when he got potted, when he left, when he was told to, you know, fuck off at that. I'd be like, you know, pushing for like 400k. Definitely if I was the agent, and that will probably be their first offer. Like Arsenal won't accept that, especially at this point now. They're not going to go that high. But again, like this whole structure, when we look at it right now, and everyone else can see it too, this is why we've brought Berta in. It's very simple. Now, if I was Berta in the club, and this is what I think they'll do from now, they'll hold fire. Because if you start giving Saka 300k plus, it's going to be a problem with the players that we want to bring in. Because let's say, for argument's sake, we bring a Gyökeres in. I've been banging goals in left, right, and centre. Saka's on 300k. Yeah, he does get a bit of GA, but he's been injured for a while. If he's on 300k, I want 350k, or I want 400k right off the bat. And you can't blame them or their agents. Either way, they both go hand in hand. So I would say, ultimately, from my perspective, the number one priority is to get the deadwood, get these fucking useless wet wipes off the wage bill. The Kai Havertzes, the Jesuses, the Erdegaards, the Wodegaards. I would keep Partey, but I would understand if we decided to let him go, because that's
we will be doing a sales bit very, very, very soon.
Oh, okay, yeah, my bad. My bad.
Yeah.
I'll hold fire. I'll hold fire. Yeah. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Yeah. I'll hold fire on that. Don't go anywhere.
Get into the next bit.
Yeah. Why are you coming fast? Yeah. I'll
Trains at the station then, that stuff.
Okay, but but basically, you get the point I'm trying to make. Just get rid of all the deadwood on high wages, and then just start again. Do you know what I'm saying? And then just structure it properly, which is why Berta's been put in. And I'm sure Carl and even Shane alluded to it earlier. I've only really just got here, to be honest, but I'm sure you guys have been saying along the lines of, well, like, you know, Berta's been brought in to clean up this mess. You know, it's a lot of work that needs to be done, and it needs to be restructured, reset, you know, start again, you know, like trying to do things, you know, properly. And even before Berta came in, if you look at, like, as an example, Yuri Timber, 90k a week, because we only bought him, start of last season. Yeah, I know he got injured, you know, shortly after 20 minutes against Fulham. I think it was the first home game or something like that. And then you compare it to everyone else, like other than Lego Head 2.0 and the Sweet Prince on 120, 130 respectively. Well, disrespectfully, I should say. Yeah, like the Timber one is kind of a more sensible, you know, wage, considering, you know, as a first contract. So other than the two, which I believe is more down to Arteta, innit? Because do not be surprised, a bit like Wenger. I know, like in the Wenger days, like you had the Dick Law, do you know what I'm saying? Outdated contract negotiator. I don't know who our contract negotiator is, but I wouldn't be surprised if Vinay had a say in that prior, and obviously Garlic, and because Tim Lewis is, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but as far as I'm aware, he's more like the accountant, like keeping the books like in score and sorting out all the legal issues, etc. I don't know if he's like he might be on the transfer committee and all of that, but I don't know if he strictly handles all the contracts or makes the final decision on who gets what. Yeah. So, you know, but we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see how this pans out. But, you know, Berta's a great signing, and we'll just have to see, you know, what he does in the coming few months and that.
Yeah, no, facts, man. Yeah, for me, with Saka, like I said, if I'm his agent, man, I'm gonna want him to be pressing for like 350k, because he probably deserves it. Not in this wage structure, maybe not in terms of actual, the money, but when you're looking at this wage structure, that's it. We've set our benchmark. Arsenal have given Gabriel Jesus 265 and Kai Havertz 280. So we've given these players like a Saka, who probably isn't worth 350k a week. They're going to come in there and go, well, if Kai Havertz is doing that, then I want this. And it's the same for every single person else. And we'll move on now, and I'll get Carwin on this one as well with Gabriel. Yeah, and this is a nice point. I can segue into that. We can see that Gabriel is on 100k a week. Whereas obviously Bill Saliba's, on 190, nearly sort of double the amount. But Gabriel, I'm sort of looking and thinking if he signs, he's gonna probably want there or thereabouts 180. But then he's probably going to be looking over at Saliba and going, well, you're already on that anyway. And then, you're going to be signing a new deal. Is then Gabriel going to be waiting for Saliba to sign his deal and see what kind of money he's on before he sort of asks for his deal? We've sort of tied ourselves up, What do you sort of reckon on it, Carl? Is Gabriel going to be sort of holding out now for that? Or do you reckon it's just an individual sort of contract negotiation and he'll sort of settle with the 180s, 190s Saliba's on at the minute?
Okay, well, let's cut to the chase on two parts of this, okay? Number one, Gabriel Magalhaes has been the best centre-half out of the two over the last 2 seasons, correct?
Fact.
Therefore, he should be getting he should be getting the extension for his money. And number two, everyone can talk about the fact that because Trent Alexander-Arnold's now going to Real Madrid, it means Real Madrid not going after Saliba is absolute baloney. You think just because they went after Trent doesn't mean they're going to have to go after Saliba or Gabriel or both. Let's not let's not just think that the wolf is not at our door anymore. He still is. He's just being very quiet. Yeah. I personally feel like Saliba is. I think Gabriel Magalhaes is waiting to see what Saliba's next move will be. If Saliba moves, Gabriel Magalhaes will say to Arteta, right, okay, give me 200, maybe 250 grand a week. Put me on the money you was going to give me Saliba. But then find a replacement to help me bed in with. Or it could be Saliba gets the extension and Magalhaes could be the one off. I find it in this day and age of football, especially with our wage structure, I find it very, very hard to believe we're going to keep both Saliba and Gabriel Magalhaes in the summer. I'm going to say this right here, right now. I could clip this if you want me to. If you want, one of them two is going to go.
You think so? Yeah.
One of those two is going to go. And I think Matty, aka Southern Good, a big up to Matty. I think he said that along the same line as well. I think he said something like, I think Saliba is the one that's going to go. I'm actually going to cover my arse and say one of them two will end up going, and the other one will get the extension that he deserves. But that's how I picture it anyway. But it would if we managed to keep hold of both of them, we kept hold of the two of a centre half partnership, which we desperately need for another push for the title. But it all depends remember, these players, as I said, there's no such thing in football now as loyalty. It's all about the player. It's all about the individual now. It's all about do I want more money or do I need to go somewhere in order to show for my career what I could potentially win. So if Saliba's there, do I stay here, earn more money and become an Arsenal great by not winning anything? Or do I take the offer that Madrid could end up giving me and go and win a La Liga title, go win a Copa del Rey, go and win a Club World Cup, go win a Champions League, etc., etc. You get my point. So that's the situation we put ourselves in. And as I said, mate, if we was in America, we would be in cap hell right now with this situation. We stick Saka like 300, 350 grand a week. We're in turmoil because Havertz is not a goal scorer. Jesus is consistently injured. He's on his 4th surgery now. We're paying a guy 265 grand a week to keep hold of his knees intact. Come on.
He's back in October, November. That's half a year away now.
Yeah. No, that can't be happening. I mean, you got Declan Rice on 240. He's a £100 million destroyer. Now we all know he's not worth that. I mean, he's a pretty good player. Like on these days, he's very good. But again, 100 mil for a destroyer. Like, come on, he's literally a sweep up merchant, and that's fine. You need that kind of, holding, defensive midfielder in your team. But if he's 240k, he better be the best, destroyer on the planet. And he's not.
Needs to be the same as Rodri.
Yeah, like not even Rodri, like fucking Caicedo at Chelsea. I'd say he's better at that job. And then you got obviously Wodegaard on 240. Apparently he's the creative spark, best number 10 on the planet. He's not even a number 10. And he's on 240.
Or a creative spark.
Yeah, like 240. Like I would hold off. I'll say this. I'll hold off on any new contract negotiations until we have these conversations. Like Berta, this is why Berta's been brought in. He needs to have these conversations. Just like, look, Kai Havertz, Gabriel Jesus, Martin Odegaard, Thomas Partey, Saliba, and out of Saliba and Gabriel, I think he's gone, because Real Madrid, I don't care how great you are, and he is a great player. He is a top quality defender. Don't get twisted. I mean, we could debate whether he's world class or not, but in this day and age, he's definitely up there. Like there's no doubt about that in my mind. For me, his head's turned. Like, you see all the Frenchmen like at Real Madrid, Champions League, La Liga, Copa del Rey, Club World Cup. And to be honest, out of Saliba and Gabriel, I'd rather keep Gabriel at this moment in time anyway. So Berta needs to come in and look at that wage bill, as I'm sure he already has, and just be like, okay, these players need to go, and then I want these players to be bought in. The players that I want to keep, so let's say Bukayo Saka will probably be kept for another season at the very least, yeah? Then they can start sort of negotiating with the players that are being bought in. Let's just say, for argument's sake, let's go with the Tiffany Top Gooner argument. Let's say we're going for an Isak, we're going for a Nico Williams, even though I don't rate him. Let's say we're going for a Zubimendi. Let's say we're going for someone else at like centre back. I know it's not on the radar, but I'll just pluck a name out there as an example. Fikayo Tomori, innit? Because I think he's a quality centre back that's been massively underrated and should have been playing for England, probably next to Mark Gay, especially in the Euros, as an example. We get all them players, maybe another. Well, we'll need another backup keeper for sure. I'd actually go for a number one keeper, whether that's Oblak or Mike Maignan from AC Milan. Just someone that can be number one and push David Raya and to make him think, okay, I can't be fucking around, trying to do that futsal, teasing, taunting ball control like you're some top chap, yeah? Like you're some fucking baller. You ain't that guy, trust me. You ain't that guy. So a lot needs to be done, but it can be done, and I'm sure it will be done, because Josh just sat there with Tim Lewis, with the number one accountant / lawyer, and it's just like, you know what? This can't go on with the PSR and all that shit. Okay, we're making money elsewhere. We're in the green elsewhere with the merch, with the tickets, with the sponsorship, with the TV deals. But when it comes to this, we're completely fucked at the moment. So there needs to be a list of players that we need. We need to get rid of players first. I'm more concerned with that than who we bring in. Because if we get rid of the dead wood, and I'm sure we'll get rid of some of them like Zinchenko and a Martinelli, for example.
I agree with you there. If we focus more on getting them out than we do come in, we still have got the same shit squad that are incapable of winning trophies. So I actually disagree.
I hear that. I hear that, but
more important than the outgoings.
I hear that, but at the same time, sometimes you've got to take another extra step back to go a few steps forward. That's just the way I see it, because we're in a mess, whether we like it or not. I'm sure we can.
I can't disagree with. Yeah,
we're in a mess anyway. But at least for me personally, Arteta will be here for the time being. We all know this. None of us like it, but we know he's going to be here till the summer. He'll probably be here at the start of next season. But if we get rid of the deadwood, we restructure the wage packet, we bring in certain players to fill in that squad, bolster the squad, so to speak. Everything seems to be in order. Let's just say it's in there by the end of the summer, and then Arteta keeps failing. We're doing poorly, and we have been this season anyway, form-wise, especially in the league and in the cups. And then we can look at it just like, okay, We're not looking great at all. It's quite poor, but at least we've restructured. At least we've got rid of the deadwood. The players that we bought in under a new manager will get better. The players that we currently got will get better. I'm sure the youth academy will be restructured, and we can maybe get one or two that come through the ranks again, you know, like an Ethan or NORMSKI, similar quality. I'm sure there's one or two in there at the moment. I can't remember his name. Is that 15, 16-year-old? Yeah, is he a like midfielder? Is he?
He's basically plays Odegaard's position.
Okay. So he's basically like an 8, 10, you know, ish. Probably could play, but yeah. Thanks. So then you've got that. You've got Max Doman, and then we can start building like a proper team, and we can start being run like a proper football club. And ultimately, mate, that's what I want. It's going to be painful in the initial stages, but again, the whole internal solutions didn't work. And I'll say one more thing, and then I'll shut up. Matty mentioned before, big up Matty as always, Southern Gooner, was saying and talking about how, you know, losing is expensive. And we're seeing this right here, right now, Fat Boy Slim settings. So we will have to lose at least, at the very, very least, a little bit more, till we get to the point where we need to be. Now, we can still be losing and then take the cup seriously, like, you know, just get to a final of the League Cup and win it, you know, get to the FA Cup final, try and win that. That's meant to be our fucking cup. And then obviously when it comes to the league, you know, try and compete again, and then Champions League, have a proper go and just see how far we can take it with this team. But, you know, ultimately it's on the pitch, it's down to the manager. And as long as this manager's here, whether someone is brought in or someone leaves, you know, the problems are still going to be there until this manager goes ultimately. And I believe Berta knows that deep down, and Josh is getting to that point slowly but surely that his time is done. And Arteta knows that he's on borrowed time as well.
Fingers crossed, do you know what I mean? That's sort of why I was here. Just quickly as well, chat, before I sort of move on, because we need to get to the next little bit. Chat, there's six signings there, or 6 contract renewals. How many? Type in there. How many you think we're going to get done in the summer? Type a 1 if you think only the 1. 5 if you think 5. 6 if you think we're going to get all of them done.
Can I just say one thing?
Very, very unlikely. Of course you can. Yeah, of course you can.
One thing. If we do somehow get Zubimendi, right? Because we should have got him last season, but then we decided to get Mikel Merino for some fucking God knows whatever reason, okay? Say we got Zubimendi. How much do you reckon he's going to ask for, wage-wise? Because he's on 29 grand a week at Real Sociedad. You got Declan Rice on 240. You got Martin Odegaard on 240. You got Thomas Partey on 200. What the hell? What was Zubimendi
150, 180, isn't he? That's what they're going to try and offer him.
Yeah.
You know it's going to be there or thereabouts. That's the frustrating thing. And, it's exactly copy and paste of the point that we've all been making, bud. And that is that we've set a benchmark now of what players are going to want, whether they're crap, whether they deserve it or not. In fact, it's even worse if they don't deserve it. Because then they're just going to go, he's crap and he's on this. Do you know what I mean? We've sort of handcuffed ourselves, but yeah, just briefly before we round that little section up, ma'am, just give me a number, 1 or 6, Shane. How many do you reckon we're gonna sign to new deals in the summer?
I have a feeling. It might be a lot of them. I think it might be all of them.
You do reckon we're gonna get the whole lot?
I think so. Yeah. I think the 2 kids are a guarantee. Saka has to be signed. Yeah. I think Saliba will be given sign a new contract and will let you go at the end of next season to Madrid. And Gabriel, if he gets the money that he wants, you know, the thing with the Gabriel Saliba thing, and people saying that Gabriel's been better the last 2 seasons, and he's been better than him.
Yeah.
But you know, Saliba's higher market value. You know, he's younger. He's a more sellable brand. Madrid, if they could have one of them, they'd pick him, and most of the big teams would pick Saliba. You know, he's a more cultured defender. You know, Gabriel he's ironed out the mistakes a bit, but you know, Saliba is more sellable, and he's worth more in the transfer market. Hence, he can get more money. You know, it doesn't really, as if we look at that, the wages there, it doesn't always reflect who's the better player or who works harder. I mean, Timber should be on a lot more than he is, regardless of the injury. And I'm sure he'll be looking for a new contract very soon. Very soon. 100%. He'll be looking for a new contract because he's been flogged this season as well. But yeah, I think we'll get all 6 of them. I think Berta will come in and sort that, or hopefully he'll go that way.
I think I know Cole's answer, but how many of the 6, my friend?
4, I'm gonna say. We'll sign Ethan.
4.
We'll sign Ethan. We'll sign Ethan. We'll sign Lewis. I think Saka will stay for a little bit longer, and I think it's going to be either one of either Gabriel or Saliba.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, that's fair dues. What about you, Natster, my brother? How many of the 6?
I think I'd say 3. To be honest, I think Ethan and Miles Lewis-Skelly, they're the definite 2 for sure. They're basically guaranteed, even though I don't believe in guarantees, but they're absolute assurances. That's how I'll phrase it. Bukayo Saka, because he's star boy, if he goes, like, the whole fan base will go into meltdown. We know that. Yeah. In regards to Saliba and Gabriel, I thought about it, but I was like, do you know what? I think they probably, let's just say for argument's sake, Gabriel stays and Saliba doesn't. I think Gabriel, they might wait another year or half a year, even 9 months to renew it, trying to assess who we bring in. And the only reason why I really say 3 is because of how everything is structured. Now, do I want more to be signed, like 4, 5, 6? Absolutely. Yeah. Maybe even more than that, that haven't got like a year or less than a year left. Obviously Partey's contract runs out in the summer. I'd want his contract to be renewed, but will we do it? I don't think we will. Martinelli's got a couple of years left. I think he'll go. And I've been bigging up Martinelli. Any of you guys know, and I'm sure there's a few of you in the chat, I've been bigging up Martinelli's places for the longest, but this manager has killed him. And he's a talent killer. We all know this. And if he went, I wouldn't be upset. Better players have left this football club. Better players have left the Premier League. It is what it is. The club's the star. That's how it should be. But obviously, like, these fucking tippity top gooners, it's all about the manager and then the players. They live and breathe and worship these fuckers, and they forget about where the club should be and putting the club first, which is what it's ultimately about. And then I look further down, Kieran Tierney's gonna go. He's one that if it was me personally, I'd sign him up straight away and get rid of the manager. But we know that's not going to happen in the summer.
He's already signed. He's already signed a pre-contract. He's already signed a pre-contract to Celtic. So
Celtic, yeah. Okay, so he's gone. Yeah, I thought that would be the case.
He's pretty much done now.
Okay, cool.
I think it's a case of now
cool.
Just waiting out to the end of the season.
So so then Jorginho, he looks like he's going to go. Zinchenko, I think, will go. Ben White will stay. I think Tomiyasu
will get into the sales very, very soon. Getting ahead of his.
Oh yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting like players
and you going for the whole squad.
Forgetting, like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. But yeah, you get the gist of it. Just like
I do.
Yeah, 3, and I don't see any more anytime soon.
Yeah, I do. We will be literally moving to that in a sec. I'll give my out of my 6. I think like you said, boys. Lewis-Skelly and Nwaneri, I think, are absolute bankers of the lot. I actually think I think Gabriel maybe be the most likely one that we sign a new deal to. And if I'm being honest with you, I don't think Bill Saliba will sign the deal. I reckon he'll at least minimum wait till the transfer window's finished rather. Just to sort of basically have a little look at and just go, right, let's just see how serious Arsenal Football Club are now. Because Arteta's whispered sweet nothings into all of these players' ears for far too long for me. I think they're going to want to see what happens. And I wouldn't blame either of them. I think Saka maybe will sign his deal. And I don't think Martinelli will. I actually think we're going to try and sell Martinelli, if I'm being honest with you, which obviously, nicely ties us to sort of the sales. And before I sort of do it, boys, make sure in the chat, world-class chat, make sure you're liking and subscribing to the stream. And also, all the guys' links are pinned in the title. So please make sure you are not forgetting to do all that. It makes one hell of a difference. Trust me, you know, we all deserve to have our numbers boosted up. We're all putting out great content. So any help from you guys, world-class chat, that would be absolutely double appreciated. But yeah, so moving on, I'm going to keep this wages and the squad up for this next section. This it shouldn't take too long. And the reason I'm going to do it is because you can still see all the players there. But there is one just quick little point that I wanted to make to everyone. And I don't know whether anyone noticed it in here or in the chat, but if you was to scroll all the way across there onto that, onto what I've uploaded, you can see gross remaining. Now, this is actually at the start of the season, okay? It's not taking into account that we're in the 25th of March. At the start of the season, and I can tell you what the math is basically now, we still owe Kai Havertz and Gabriel Jesus £80 million sterling in remaining wages. So if you see that last little bit there, that's from the start of this season, how much we owe every single person. From the start of the season, we owed Kai Havertz nearly £60 million, and we've got nothing from him, injured. Gabriel Jesus, I've had absolutely nothing from him. 41 million at the start of the season. We still
Do you know what? Do you know what Havertz is selling on? Do you know what Havertz's sell fee is currently right now? Because I'm on transfer market right now. Exactly the same as the remaining amount of money we got to pay him. Exactly the same. Sell him now, you don't pay him. Sell him now, you don't pay him.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Do it. That's what I'm saying, bro.
That's a fact. No, but that nicely moves me on to the players on the outgoings, yeah. Because look, I've obviously labelled this as sixes. So for the sixes, these are the realistic ones, the deadwoods, the ones that we really need to be getting out of this squad. And that's of course Zinchenko. Is number one. He's got to go. But guess what? Copy and paste the point yet again. The reason why he's still here, and Arteta hasn't really played him much for the last 18 months. No, he's had a few injuries here and there, give or take, whatever. The reason that he hasn't gone, and there was interest from Borussia Dortmund, is because he's on 150 grand a week. And no fucker wants to pay it. Why don't they want to pay it? Because he's not worth 150 grand a week. But we fucking give it to him, obviously. Of course we do. Why wouldn't we? We're Arsenal Football Club. We don't know how to negotiate. But yeah, of course, there's him. You've got Kivior. You know, much lower down that scale on 58 grand a week. You know, I'd have thought maybe we won't earn our money back for him. We paid about, 20, 25, somewhere in them regions for him. Wages won't really be an issue. I don't think we'll make our money back, but surely between 15 and 20 million, maybe we'll make back on him. Tomiyasu's the biggest of the worries. You know, we renewed his contract last year, given I think it was only an extra year extension or some sort of a little odd deal like that, but 100 grand from him, man. He's had 6 minutes this season. And I haven't even added it up from last season, but it probably won't be more than 6. And of course, we've got 2 loanees that will be coming back. And they're not on here, but Reece Nelson, I think he's on between 70 and 100k. He'll be back and he needs to go. He can't linger around again. And same with Fabio Vieira, though I think he's only on 35k a week, to be fair. I say only, of course. But you get it in terms of the footballing sort of wages and the ridiculous wages that we're looking at here. I think only applies considering Havertz is on 280. Boys, yeah. What do you sort of make of them sort of 6? Is there any other ones you'd sort of have to add? For me, and I'll come to Shane with this. For me, them 6 there are the absolute bankers that this club need to just get rid of this summer. What's your take on it, Shane, my brother?
Yeah, you know, there's so many. There's so many that have to go. There's so many that can't go. There's so many that Arteta will never get rid of that we know have to go. You know, I mean, no one's gonna number one pay for Jesus because of his injuries. Never mind pay his wages. You know, Havertz is the same. I mean, who's going to buy him? We were discussing this yesterday when we said, you know, that we're talking about the Saka injury and everybody's worried that he won't be the same when he comes back. And Havertz has the same injury. Imagine how bad he'll be when he gets back. You know, so. Yeah. His market value will drop drastically when he gets back. And, you know, Arteta had no problem with Aubameyang and Ozil and letting these lads go for free, you know, because he didn't like them, you know what I mean, to deal with the transfer. But Zinchenko will go. But look, we're already, as we discussed before, we went into this season 5 players short. You know, we went in 5 players short. If we let another 5 go, the ones are at 6. I mean, we wouldn't even be able to register a team for the fucking Premier League. Like, that's the mess we're in. So are we just going to get in a load of fucking laymen, you know, and a load of... I don't grasp you know, and we were talking before about Jonathan David. If he's on a Bosman, why on earth wouldn't you just get him? You know, but Arteta's head doesn't work the same way as everybody else's, and we can talk about the people in the back room that do deal the contracts and the people that you know, the money men and all this, but like every player on that is basically his player, apart from the kids that have come through, the Sakas and the Aries and the like. These are all the people that he's brought in, and these are all the people that he said, look, pay them whatever they want, or pay them this, or pay them that. Maybe not to the exact money, but they've gotten these players for him. So, you know, I can see Zinchenko going. Havertz, there's not a chance. Arteta will play him until the day he's sacked to try and prove that he was right in signing him. You know, Kivior has to go, even if it's on loan, just and get them to pay his wages. And like you said, Nelson and Fabio Vieira have to come back.
Yeah.
So they're going back on the wage. So people are talking about, oh, you know, with the wages, well, Neto and Sterling aren't ours, but they may as well be, because when the other two come back, they're just stepping into their place wage wise. So we have our hands tied on this, in that clubs will know that we're short on players, you know. So when they're selling to us, they can charge us more. Well, we know how desperately you need these players, and then getting rid of players. Like Zinchenko, there was bids in for him in January, but we couldn't let him go. We just didn't have the personnel. And the same went for Tierney. That apparently Celtic offered a 3-4 million sort of, you can buy them then and with the pre-contract, and we couldn't do it because he needed him to cover left fucking wing, because that's how short we've left ourselves, you know. So this summer, you know, everybody can talk about Berta, and honestly, until the day I see him with that fountain pen in his hand, signing the contract that he's here, I won't fully accept it. You know, I know everybody says that it's done, but we've been sold this before. So Bert is going to come in. I mean, he must have seen all this stuff beforehand. He's not going to take the job blind. So we'll see if he can come in. And I don't know. To me, this looks like a 3-4 year job to get this stable again, because we don't have the personnel to sell. So Zinchenko, I think, will be the only one. Maybe the only one we'll get money for in the summer, unless they do a big sale like that of Saliba or Gabriel.
Yeah, no, absolutely facts, man. And of course, I just want to remind the chat again, the only reason I say sort of sixes is because I wanted to keep it realistic. Look, if we was playing Football Manager, FIFA or whatever, you know, we'd be making 12, 15 sales. We'd be signing everyone to the renewal. You know, we'd be buying players left, right and centre. But I've kept it at 6 sort of rich categories. So I believe that's sort of realistic, and go and buy what business we've sort of done beforehand. Maybe it's even a little bit much considering the incomings. You know, we haven't made 6 signings, I don't think, sort of yet. Under this sort of regime or whatever you sort of want to call it on. Carl, yeah, what did you sort of think, man? Because you know, there's a lot more players, like I said, just in the 6. You know, there's sort of good shouts for getting the. We all want Jesus and Kai Havertz gone, but the reality is, with these players, Kai Havertz is going nowhere. Arteta loves him too much. Gabriel Jesus is injured until November. Let's just forget about him. And all the others, some of them knew they're not going anywhere. What's your sort of take on the 6 labelled? Have you got any sort of to add that you would sort of get rid of? I know we got Lokonga coming back. You know, it's just more sort of business. Can you see us getting rid of even 6, Carl? Like more?
I can see 6. I can maybe see a little bit more, but it all depends if we're going to get any fees for them. I think Zinchenko, you're looking at 10, 15 million max, maybe for Zinchenko. I mean, that's going to be pennies to a lot of clubs, but it is what it is. I know Tomiyasu was injured, but the guy can't stay healthy. You got to try and get something. You got to try and get something back for him. And when you're behind, and when he's behind Julian Timber and Ben White, you're surplus to requirements now. So he's gone. Jacob Kivior, useless. Didn't like him when he came in. Still don't like him now. So he needs to go as well. Partey and Jorginho. Look, we know Jorginho's going at the end of the season, so there's no point even discussing that. Thomas Partey's an interesting one. I would like to keep him for one more year because I think he's been our bet. He's been our, excluding Declan Rice, who's been our best midfielder the last 2 games over the course of the season. Partey has been our best midfielder when he is allowed to play in his actual position. By the way, because his manager's an absolute knob, but but I digress. I would throw Havertz in that mix as well, right? And I know that no one's going to pay that sort of money for him. As I said, 58.2 is what we owe. That's basically his fee. You could get 50 million for Havertz, and I probably think that's probably an acceptable offer. But who's going to take on this is the thing, and Shane has brought this up and properly now. You know, it's all right to say, oh yeah, we can sell this player, sell this player, sell this player, sell this player. Name a club is going to take on that wage structure that they're on. Name one player. And DJB actually said something very clear in the chat. Only the Saudi clubs would do that. Even Gabriel Jesus. Hang on, let me just click on Jesus' profile picture. His actual market value right now is around about 40 million euro. 40 million euro. So that's around about 28 to 30 mil. 28 to 30 mil. That's
I don't think we're getting that in Europe. I honestly don't think we'll. I think we'll struggle to get 20 million for him. I really do. Bear in mind, unless he comes back to sort of fitness, because he's out until October, November. Then there's match fitness. Then there's realistically will be the winter window, won't it? And then at that time he'll have a year and a half left on his deal, I think, because he'll have 2. Yeah, so we will have 1.5 years left on his deal. Probably even less than 20 million. But I mean, you'd take 15 to just get his wages off, wouldn't you, Carl?
Absolutely, Boy Tendio said the Saudis don't want Havertz. They have plenty of money and much more common sense than us. Yeah, Ivan Toney for a prime example. You know, there we go. But down the board there, I always say you shouldn't judge a player on one season, but we've judged 2 players on one season before. Kivior, and we knew he was shit. And I can't remember who else did we. Oh, that was it. Fabio Vieira. I said with it, I watched 3 games and I said, yeah, this guy's terrible. Get him out. So Vieira, we could potentially sell. Yeah. You know, we know Sterling. We know Sterling's going back out. He's going back to Chelsea because we're not going to. I hope to God we don't renew him on his loan. Could you tell you why I say this? It could be the exact same situation that Tottenham had with Timo Werner. They had him on loan. And I said to someone back in the summer, I said, if you sign Timo Werner to an actual contract, that's the end of your fucking club. This will be the end of us if we end up signing fucking... that'll be the end of us if we sign Raheem Sterling to a contract. That'll be the end of us. It basically washed and repeat that Tottenham did.
Yeah. And then if there's any other mug than Tottenham Hotspur, it's going to be Arsenal, isn't it? Absolutely, 100%. Dio, one of the things I will say, my friend, is having to accept Havertz for 30 million, honestly, otherwise his wages won't get lifted. Yeah, listen, this is sort of like a copy and paste-ish of what I was sort of saying about Gabriel Jesus. And the point I'm going to make, my friend, is, do you remember 5 years ago when we had the same thing with Ozil and Aubameyang and we ripped their contracts up? Yeah. I mean, honestly, my friend, I'd actually go lower than that to get Havertz off. I'd go 20 million and maybe lower. With Jesus, I think, you know, in that sort of stage when he is fit and we have to sell him, I'd maybe go 10, 15.
It will be then down to Berta then to dig out gems.
Yeah.
It'll be down to Berta then to do that, because otherwise, if we continue just buy, you know, sometimes, you know, you can buy world-class players and you can do with the right structure, but then you've also got to look at it as well. Goes, okay, let's see who we could bring in outside of the Premier League. Who can bring in from Europe? Who is actually up and coming, not getting talked about, but their fee is very low and their wage is very low. Who can bring in? That's going to be that's going to be one of Berta's very, very crucial jobs when he gets here ready for the summer. Because we are going to have to find some gems. We are going to have to find another Saliba. Yeah. We are going to have to find another Saka. We are going to have to find a striker to replace bloody Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. We are going to need another left back that's actually, you know, not like Zinchenko Calafiori, but, you know, sort of like similar to Ashley Cole in a way. You know, a prolific left back. Mm-hmm. Same with defensive midfielder. You know, there are so many positions and needs. Even though if we sell so low, you are going to have to look at it and go, okay, we might just have to start. You could say it is project youth, but I would rather you get someone in who's actually going to be ready to push us forward rather than someone who has failed at a top club in the past, and then we bring them in to try and revitalize their career. That's what we've done with Odegaard. He's had one good season. He's basically done an Ozil.
Yeah. And so because there's a big difference between what we know should be done and what Arteta will do. And we know this, that's the frustrating thing. We can look at it and say, we'll take this for Havertz, we'll take that for Havertz. If a club offered what we paid for Havertz, he'd block it because he's so insistent on the guy. Jesus can't be sold. You know what I mean? He's too injury prone. He's just a bag of bones. He's fucking Mr. Glass in what's that movie again with fucking Samuel Jackson and Bruce Willis?
We've got was it Unbroken? Is it or something?
Unbreakable. Unbreakable.
Yeah,
Unbreakable.
Breakable.
Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean that's where we're stuck, and then we can look at it and go, like you said in Football Manager or something, go right, we'll get rid of this, and this, and we'll bring in so and so. But there's things we've seen that we know the way Arteta works and the way a non-narcissistic person works, and it's completely different. We can pray that Berta's going to whip him into shape, but I don't think Arteta would have accepted it if he's not getting at least a large portion of the control he already has.
Yeah, no, facts, man. Natster, man. What I want to sort of bring you in on is, listen, we've sort of mentioned as well, about them sort of 6-year sort of players, and we've noticed as well, like you've quite rightly said as well, Tierney's he's gone. Jorginho, I think he's signed his sort of pre-agreement with some Brazilian. I can't quite think who it was off the top of my head. Thomas Partey, he looks like he might be out the door, which is a little bit of a frustrating one for me. I think he's well worth 12 months with maybe a possible addition for another year. But what I wanted to ask you as well, just while we're in these sales, is do you think that it might get to sort of a stage where we'll have incomings, and we'll get to that in a minute, but we might have to sell one of the big boys as such? And by that, I mean a Martinelli or an Odegaard. Can you see us trying to sign one of these, or sell, one of these boys, one of the big boys, Martin Odegaard? Can you see us trying to get rid of him, Martinelli? What do you reckon on it, mate?
I'm going to have to disagree with you, bro. I think there's going to be a massive fire sale. This is why Berta's being brought in. This is why Josh has looked at it, and he hasn't even bothered to acknowledge Arteta, because the writing's on the wall and he knows this shit. Football Manager or not, I hear it, but at the same time, didn't Internazionale, Sevilla, do like a full rebuild of the squad? I don't want to hear people saying, for me, that but we can't sell most of the squad and then bring in 12, 15. I'm not hearing that. But yet in the same breath, you're saying we've got a £300 million war chest. This is why Berta, bad boy mafioso Berta, is being brought into the club. Do what needs to be done. Yes, I agree with Carl. We need to find gems, and I believe he will. Yeah. I'll give you an example. Morgan Rogers. I mean, he's not going to be as cheap as what Villa got him for, but let's just say, argument's sake, 30 million. And we put him on like 100k, maybe 70k a week. That's more than doable. Definitely for a club of our size.
You'd be paying 80 to 100 for Morgan Rogers.
All of these players, right? All of these players. And here's the thing. If it was up to me, I'd get rid of damn near the lot of them. And then I'd only keep the
That's what I mean. You would.
No, I don't care, bro. Honestly, mate, I don't give a flying fuck. And you can disagree with me all you want. That's fine. I definitely don't take it personally. But this is what needs to be done. And I know that this club are starting to wake up and realise it's especially bringing Berta in. Now, if we didn't have a Berta in and we bought a Rosicky or we bought in that Edu's number 2 or whatever, internal solutions.
Bloody Merta.
Fucking Merta, Saka, the BFG and all of that. I'd just be like, we'd be absolutely annihilated. Like, this club is done and dusted. But I reckon that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Because for me personally, and this is just me, whether it's career mode, Football Manager talk, I don't care. I'd look at even Marino and Calafiore and just be like, well, if we can't sell them, loan them out, give the other team an option or an obligation to buy next season, and start bringing in the youth, the free agents, start bringing in the gems, and just start again. Can we really honestly do any worse than what we're doing right now? And then if you get rid of, I'll give you an example. I'll give you the list very, very quickly. So Kai Havertz, a Saudi team will take him, even if it's for 20, 30 mil. We need to cut our losses. Hence why I said fire sale. Gabriel Jesus, even with the injuries. Martin Odegaard, we can definitely get a bit of bob for him. Thomas Partey, I'd want to keep, but you know, like I wouldn't be surprised if he goes. As long as we get like an Amadou Onana, I'm cool with him going. Unless you get someone of that quality, I'm cool with him going. But I want him to stay either way because he's our best midfielder. Martinelli can go. Zinchenko can go. Ben White can stay. Lego Head 2.0, the Sweet Prince, they got to go, whether it's a loan and then option to buy or just bin them off. I don't care if they've been here for a season. I don't care. This is Arteta's fuck up. We know he fucked up, and he's making us all look like fucking dickheads. And then, you know, a lot of these other fans will look at me and just be like, but they've only just got in. Give them a chance. No, bum that. Bum that bollocks, bruv. Bum that bollock. We know Kieran Tierney's going pre-contract. Jorginho's going to be going. So I won't really put them in that bracket. We know they're going. So that frees up, what, 220k? Cool. David Raya, I keep him, but I would go and get, like I mentioned earlier, a proper number one keeper. Jan Oblak has still got a few years left in him. I think he needs a challenge, a bit like Simeone on the manager front. He would slot in at Arsenal. And Mike Magnon, French number one. I think he's a quality keeper, and he can do the business. Tomiyasu has to go. Like for me, he's pretty much number one at this point. Gabriel, I'd obviously keep. Timber, I'm keeping, and I think he'll stay. Trossard, I'm kind of 50-50 Lamar settings, do you know what I'm saying? Because is he quality? Yes, we've seen it. But if he wants to go that bad, we could use that 90k a week. Kivior can go, and then you got the likes of Raheem Sterling, Neto. I don't think they'll be re-signed, especially under Berta. I don't think either of them will be re-signed. So we can get. That's why I mentioned like getting a proper keeper, and then David Raya can be second choice, and then Carl Hein could be like third choice. That is a solid 3 keeper option right there. That is potentially elite with an elite manager. Then obviously you got Ethan and Miles, the youth, Project Youth. Well, we know they're going to stay, and they're both quality players. So how many have I mentioned that we should keep, and how many we should sell? It's there or thereabouts, half and half ish, give or take. So what are you talking like? What, 9 or 10 that need to go, plus the other 2 that are already going?
Yeah. And
then it's just a case of bringing 10, 11, 12. If there's free agents or players that are 6 months left on their contract, or some free agents or some other gems, I go that route because you save a lot of money and you can bring in those players and you don't have to put them on ridiculous wages, which is why Bad Boy Berta will do the business. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that's what I expect. That's what I think will happen. Now, will it happen straight away? I think there'll be some. I don't think we'll get rid of everyone that I've mentioned. But look, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
And what Arteta would do is completely different. He is an absolute fraudulent wet wipe. You know he's going to keep the likes of Kai Havertz, Jesus, Tomiyasu. You know, he'll find a way to try and keep Martinelli. We know he is a scrub hoarder. That's what I'll call him. He is a scrub hoarder. So we'll just have to see in the summer, end of this year, and then start of next year, you know, January transfer window, and then going on to next season. Because I'll give Berta a full year or so. So 2 transfer windows to see what he does with the outgoings and then the ingoings as well. And then we can judge it. But I believe it or not, I'm actually quite optimistic, which I'm not usually. But there's a reason for that shit. And it's not just desperation. It's not delusion. I reckon this Berta's been brought in for a reason. And if he knew that he wasn't going to get backed and he was going to be shafted at some point, I don't think he would have taken the job. Because he could go anywhere else in the world. Do you know what I'm saying? And be given the reins, given the tools to do what he needs to do. So for me, even though we're in a massive mess, I don't think it's as bad as long as what needs to be done is done in the space of a year. And I'll leave it at that. That's how I see it.
Yeah. No, facts, man. Yeah, listen, mate, if I genuinely sort of believed that Arsenal could and would get all of this business done, it'd have been called the summer of 12s, mate, 100%, because we need more than the 6s. But I've got to play it as a sort of realistic sort of like game, you know, and I sort of have little sort of faith in that. But before I sort of move on to the incomings, and that will be, well, it'll nearly be the last little bit of the show, because there's just one very, very brief sort of topic I want to talk about after. A very, very, very brief one. We're going to be met with unanimous agreeing decisions. So, you know, there's going to be absolutely no debate on it. I just sort of wanted to throw my two bob in there. Like, who do I realistically sort of think that we're going to sort of sell? I reckon we'll get rid of all the loanees that are coming back. Reece Nelson's and Vieira, I reckon they'll go. Absolutely. I reckon Kiviori's wanted to get rid of him for a while. I reckon he'll definitely go. I reckon Trossard, you know, I can sort of get some people 50-50 sort of in the chat, you know. They'd sell him, some would keep him. I just sort of think, you know, this season, he's sort of not really been at the races. He's blown hot and cold too much for me. And it's not because I think just that he's been out of form. I actually sort of think that he doesn't 100% want to be here. And I think the manager is probably 100% sort of down to that, you know. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if he was to go. Tomiyasu's, you know, they've really got to try and get something done there.
Something Conga as well.
Yeah,
I'd say he's gone.
I think there's an option. I think there's a buy option for him. Not an obligation like there is with Tavares. There's
he's another one as well.
Yeah. He's got the obligation, so he's absolutely done.
Tavares has been balling out where he's been.
We need him back. Who would have thunk it? Like a year or two ago? We need new Tavares, bruv.
And he's not the right manager for him, is it? Do you know what I mean? It just isn't. It's as simple as that. Just like Kieran Tierney, you know, it's not the right manager for him. And I think any other manager in world football would still have Kieran Tierney as their left back. Any other manager that was in charge of Arsenal would probably have had Kieran Tierney sign a new-year deal. Let's also not forget, just quickly on the Tierney thing, he actually had an option of another year that we let expire in December or January, by the way. We just went, we just won't renew it. How mad is that?
We're absolute fools. The only guy could put a cross into the box as well. The only one. Well, bar maybe Rice.
It's madness, isn't it, Cole? Like, though, do you know what I mean? And it's not even as if he's sort of eating 250k a week. He's on 110. You know, which for him, you know, I think is absolutely about right. Do you know what I mean? You know, and probably if not sort of
probably
more,
the perfect wage structure for the perfect player. That is
exactly right, Carl. Exactly the point I was going to sort of make. You know, to sort of come into what sort of Natster was sort of saying about other players outside that sort of six. I absolutely agree with a point you made. Absolutely, the likes of Calafiores and Mikel Merino. The only reason I haven't included him in what I believe is like a likely six is because I know Mikel Arteta will get there in the end. Just won't sell him. He won't. He won't. I agree with your mentality, Natster.
He won't sell them. He won't sell them. Yeah, but people talk about, it's football. This ain't Football Manager. This ain't FIFA. Now FC career mode. But if you want to be the best, Inter won a title. When I mentioned Inter and Sevilla, they were in a Europa League final like 5 years ago. Inter, since that time, won Champions League final. I think they've won 2 Scudettos or some shit. Yeah. I think Sevilla have won a Europa League during that 5 years. Another one. Do you know what I'm saying? So it can be done. Guns has mentioned it many a times before, and he's spot on. It can be done. You just need the right personnel to do that, and we've got one in Berta. Now we just need the manager. Now, I'm not going to jump the gun and talk about who we're going to bring in, because obviously that's where you want to end up next. See, I'm learning. Yeah. I'm learning. I'm learning. But at the end, like my lives, it will be a bit different. But I believe, and I know, and even though it's just my opinion, I know, so I can't prove it as a fact, that there'll be a lot more outgoings and incomings than you think. It will probably be less than what I think, but probably more than what you think. So when you say realistic, I hear it, but respectfully, I don't hear it, only because if you have the right structure, you can make these moves. You know, unless there's a rule change, there's no limit to how many players you can sell and how many players you can bring in, as long as the wage structures are on point, which is obviously where we're at right now. It's a mess. We can all agree on that.
That's how Forest got stung. They got rid of 20 players, bought in another 21, and then the following season they got rid of 15 and bought in another 20, and now they've got a transfer embargo on their flipping doorstep. But guess what? They don't give a shit. They're about to go to the Champions League.
Yeah,
Forest, isn't it? You're talking about Forest.
You're going to talk about Forest, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, see, Forest.
The owner doesn't give a shit. He's just saying, get rid of these scrubs, get me new players, and get me back up to where.
That is exactly how you do it. You're spot on, mate. That is exactly how it needs to be done. If Forest can do it, why can't we? I don't want to hear any excuses. Now, if you think there's going to be 6 and 7 and you're right, fair play. I'm not going to knock you for thinking that. And it's not wild or, controversial. But
it's more what we've done over the last 5 years is gathering roughly around
but if Forest can do it, we can definitely do it.
We've not sold any more than 6. Oh, yeah, 100%. It's not beyond the realm
yes,
of
but they have European heritage, so they can do that.
Yeah, football heritage.
Yeah.
And that's what we need, bro. Football heritage.
Well, according to the top gooners, we're going to win the Champions League, so we've only got a couple of months to wait. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? Believe that? Jesus Christ. Aaron talks Arsenal out, innit? I'm just going to come to the chat. Big up, Dazzo. I know you love a bit of Latoro Martinez, didn't you?
No.
Yeah, you love a bit of him.
Not for me.
He's a good striker when you want him to be, but when it comes to the clutch moments, he is awful.
Just watch the World Cup, bruv. There were many chances that he could have slotted.
Ask Josh Moe what do you think? What he thinks of Latoro Martinez's clutch moments, and he goes, "He's not clutch."
No, overrated to fuck. Nah,
I personally wouldn't have him, but I know Dow. I know you do love him. A big up, Dow, man. The absolute legend. Big up to you, man. Big up views as well, brother. Always good to see you in here, mate. Yeah, Proms. Big up, mate. How you doing, brother? Yeah, Trossard. Yeah. I'm sort of in the agreement with you. I think Berta will bring in Vlahovic. We'll sort of get to them little bits, but I think
he will be the good. He'll be the good profile to have. If we're going to play this dreadful freaking football that we're playing, that is the sort of shine that you probably want.
Yeah. I actually 150% agree.
But we need club signings, guys. That's the point. We need club signings. I don't want to see any more Arteta signings. This is why I gave the transfer window a 10 out of 10. Because the board and the ownership, basically Josh, they decided unanimously, no, we're not going to give you any more money. Coach your way out of it till the end of the season and we'll assess it there. That's the best thing they've done, especially the board, in God knows how long. And long may it continue, innit? Long may it continue. Then when we get a new manager in, we can start splashing the cash, getting rid of the deadwood, etc., etc. And I'm sure we'll be up there with some proper planning and that, not just internal solutions. Carry on.
I do intend to agree with you, mate. Yeah, Dio saying, both Trossard, Martinelli have to leave. Yeah, I would agree with that as well. Havertz and Jesus. If only. I mean, if all of these players that you're saying would leave, I mean, it's a fantastic start in terms of the sales sort of part of it. Use what you're saying, brother. Big up, mate. Summer is huge. Agreed, mate. Very, very, very huge. It's the summer in terms of Mikel Arteta, the Arsenal. How are we going to be going up the table? Or God forbid, if we have a summer like last year, we're going to be going down it. I can promise you that. And it's on about 7-8 players. Yeah, but I agree with you. I actually think we need about 10. If I'm being totally honest with you,
minimum.
I don't think we'll have the time. Yeah, but I hope I'm wrong. Yeah, and that's sort of why I've sort of narrowed it down. Views, you know what I mean? Because I just don't think we're going to get all of them sort of bits done. I mean, it took us 5 years doing it in one summer. Do I think Saliba will go? Maybe not this summer, but I mean, inevitable that he goes to Real Madrid. In terms of will he go Arsenal in his contract? Yeah, I believe he will in the next year or two, 100%. Dio saying again, we aren't going to sell the players we need to sell. Agreed, and this is a fantastic point. We won't buy the players that we need to buy, and that's the sort of worrying thing as well, man. And obviously Endo saying, Netflix FC, which we absolutely are. The owners are just as bad. They have put in over 200 million out of their own pocket in 17 years, mate. Or that's a pathetic stat, isn't it, mate? And I know that's an absolute factual one. It's absolutely ridiculous. They don't care though, bruv. And they told us they didn't care when they signed, didn't they, mate? But big up AFC always, man. And I'll take this one, and then we'll move on to the incomings. We're not going to secure Saliba's contract. But at the same time, we won't look for a replacement before he leaves, and we're going to get into replacements now, my friend.
As long as this manager's still there. Sorry, Aaron, so I just have to say this very quickly. As long as this manager's here, that will be the case. The only thing I'll say is that if you're not going to do the Forest thing, I think that's the best example because obviously they're in the Premier League, football heritage and all of that, yeah? You're not going to make 15 signings, You're not going to let go of 15 players. Let's just say, right? That includes the people that are coming back from loan, etc. Fine. Get rid of the manager then. Either we get rid of the manager and we sell, let's say, 5 or 6, the more realistic, yeah, and then we bring in about 5 or 6, or we go the other way and basically get rid of a lot of players, you know, keep the manager, and then just be like, yeah, you know, just like see what you can do with this, and then just coach your way out of it. Or you could even go, well, we'll get a new manager in, you know, with these 15 players or whatever, and then just, you know, we'll get Champions League, and then we should go for the cups and all of that. So there are 3 options there, really and truly. There are 3 major options. So either we bring a new manager in, let's say Diego Simeone, because Berta's worked with him before. We buy 5 or 6, we sell 5 or 6. He can improve the players that even we don't want at the club no more, and they'll go up certain levels, but obviously with the scrubs, they're limited. Or we splash the cash, we get rid of all of the dross, the deadwood and whatever, and we keep this manager and let him suffer, you know, let him fall on his shield, because he won't be able to hack it, period. And we know he's a coward anyway, so he'll jack before that happens anyway. Or we get a new manager, which is what I would do. Get rid of the dross, bring in all them players, find the gems, bring up the youth, get those free agents, and then we can start building like a proper football club. It's not that difficult. If Forest can do it with the funds that they have compared to what we have, there is no excuse. And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. But
cheapest way to go about this is to get rid of the manager. Just pay him the minimum of his pay him the contract. What it was like 2 years left on the contract after that. So give him this 30 million. Say off you go. See you later. Get a proven manager in, and let's see if he can get more out of these players than what Arteta could. If we know this, get rid of the scrubs that we know need to get. So you get rid of Tommy Ashley, get rid of Zinchenko, get rid of Kivior and so on. But the players that you know that, Trossard was a good player when he came to us. So why is he falling off a cliff? Martinelli was a fantastic player for me to arrive. Why is he falling off a cliff? Let's see if I can get anything out of these guys. And if they're no good come one more season, out they go.
Absolutely.
One year to prove yourself. 1 year to prove yourself that you're better for this team. And if we do get Satan in his argument with Simone, the one thing he will install them literally within the first training session, your mentality.
100%.
Mentality. And I'm glad you pointed this out, because there's a little saying that happens, okay? So obviously, Aaron, you know I play darts on a Friday night, right?
I do.
And Phil Taylor said this in an interview, the greatest darts player of all time. He said 10% of your game is your talent and your rhythm and your throwing and your practicing. The other 90% is all up there in your head. The minute you lose your head is the minute you fall off a cliff or the minute you don't win matches. It's the same with any elite level sport. If you lose your head, you don't win anything.
Yeah, he's a winner. Absolutely. 150%. No, absolute facts, man. Listen, we're going to come on to the incomings. And before we do, again, don't forget, people, drop a like and a sub if you haven't already, of course, on the stream. It makes a double world of difference. I promise you that. And of course, subscribe to the people's channels here. Do you know what I mean? It's all in the title for you. It's just one little click away, and then another cheeky one to click on the subscribe button. Show the community some love, man, because we've got a fantastic one here. But I will get back onto the incomings now, and this is where we will wrap up, obviously, the show before my cheeky little question after. And I think it's a very valid one as well, because it counts as what Berta, I believe, has got to do. I digress. We've got obviously incomings to do, and I've said 6. We all know it's going to be more, but I'm going to keep the structure of the show as simple. And I think this is a valid point I'm going to bring up, people. We all sort of know that there's heavy links with Zubimendi, and he's got a release clause. We know that. Nico Williams, we all know he's got a release clause. There's heavy links with him, and this bastard of a Sesko that just will not go. And I think in our heart of hearts, we all sort of know that he's Mikel Arteta's man. Them sort of fees sort of will total to about 180 million, there or thereabouts, give or take 10 million, whatever. What I'm sort of saying is, as if all of these deals are as heavy and as far down the line as we sort of go, because we've heard Zubimendi's nearly done so many bloody times. What one is sort of Berta going to come in and sort of do? And the point that I'm going to make there is, if these deals are sort of, you know, thumbs up by Mikel Arteta, because it's obviously given the green light to these three players. If Berta comes in, does he then just go, yeah, actually, no, I don't want Zubimendi? Or does he say to Nico Williams, yep, well, I know you like him, Mikel Arteta, but yeah, that's not a good fit. Are they all pre-done signings and Berta just has to work around them, I wonder? Will Berta come in? Yeah, and this is what I hope. And just go, yeah, you've done your bit, Arteta, now. Good work before. You know, you've identified these three players, but no. I've got my three players. I've got my 4 or 5 or 6 players, Mikel, and you will listen to me. This is what we're all hoping, I believe. I sort of believe that there's going to be 6 positions. At least, you know what, I think there's actually about 10 positions, but these are the 6 positions I'm going for. Now, all of yours in the panel, all of yours in the chat are going to differ, but they're going to be there or thereabouts the same. And for me, I've gone on necessity. We need more than these 6 positions. I will stress that, but I'm going to go on for necessity. It's going to be a backup goalkeeper as well to start for me, because we know that Neto, thank God, will fuck off back to wherever the fuck he came from.
Bournemouth.
Yeah. I don't. It is that pointless in my brain. I don't even know. Yeah. So we obviously got the backup goalkeeper. I believe we need a right-sided centre back, another central defensive midfielder because of the outgoings, a left 8 for me, a left winger, and a striker. Now I know people. We need a 10 as well. We need a right winger as well, and we probably will need another left back. I totally get this, but I think that them 6 are the positions that I sort of need. And before I want to come into sort of players, I want to bring Shane into it. What do you reckon on them positions? What positions do you sort of think that we need to sort of get done first? Do you know what I mean? Because you know, we know we need about 10 in. We probably do need a new player for every single part of the squad, but you've got 6. What's the major ones?
Yeah, well, I think this again goes down to what would be the sensible thing to do and what we know will happen. We definitely need a backup keeper. I mean, that deal's pretty much done. We were getting a man from Spain. I'd like to get in a new left back simply to push Lewis Skelly up to left 8 where he belongs, and that would solve that problem, at least as a backup left 8. And he could still be a backup left back. He could still, you know, he can do all that. If it was me, I'd be going for your man Dean Howson off Bournemouth as a centre back. I'd get him in and say, right, you learn off Saliba because we know he's fucking off next summer, you know, or the following summer. I'd get him in. I think that'd be the sensible thing to do. And Madrid are meant to even be looking at him. It's between him and Saliba, apparently. So, you know, let them, if Saliba wants to leave, I'd bring Howson in this summer, say, you'll be back up for the first year. And then when Saliba goes, a big player that I'd love to get is Cunha. I'd highly rate Cunha. But again, I think he's got too much personality for Mikel Arteta, which is always going to be an issue. Up front, it would have to be Gyökeres, but again, we know it's going to be Sesko. Again, Gyökeres might have a bit too much for him. I'd look at Mbeumo off Brentford for me. He'd be cover for Saka, and he can play up front. And I would consider someone like a Justin Kluivert to come in that can play out left, and he can play as a 10. And you know, because the squad is so small, you do need the likes of a Cunha that can play in 2 or 3 positions, because we're so strapped, you know. And I will say that earlier when we were talking about the 6 contracts, I wasn't including Partey in that. Partey's going, you know. I know Partey's going to go. It was the Martinellis and the like. I can see Martinelli staying, but for me, yeah, keeper. I'd like a left back. If Partey's going, we're going to need a 6. If it was me, I'd keep him, but we're going to need a 6. I don't see why we wouldn't extend Partey's contract by a year and not get Zubimendi. We're going to need a left winger because the two we have are average. We're going to need cover for Saka, which would then free up Ranieri to challenge Odegaard for the 10. To me, I'd drop Odegaard to the 8 and put Ranieri as the 10. But again, these are all things that we know should be done that won't be done. And I fully agree with Carl. It's what I've been saying for months now, is that to save all this hassle, just get rid of the manager. Because, but like I've said before, that, you know, if you switch the summer and we had got Slot and Arteta had got sacked and he had gone to Liverpool with the exact same squads, we'd be winning the league and Liverpool wouldn't. Just with switching the managers. It's as simple as that. Just with switching the managers. If you put Arteta at Liverpool Darwin Núñez starts every game. Salah gets injured from having to track back. He falls out with Trent Alexander-Arnold because he can't defend. And he, people that say, oh, well, you get any manager in, they wouldn't do anything with these players. But then what's the point in having a fucking manager? What's the point in having an elite manager? If we had a winning manager with this squad alone, we'd be doing a lot better than we are now. A lot of these players have fallen off a cliff because of him. Like we said, Martinelli under Emery and in the first season under Arteta before he started shackling them, he was electric. Jurgen Klopp was pointing him out. Saka, as you pointed out before, Aaron, that he used to take on 3-4 players and you didn't know what he was going to do. Now it's one touch, inside, cross or shoot. Stick to my regiment, do my regimented tactics. Havertz, you could put him under any manager. He's always going to be shit. He is one of the worst signings we have made in a long, long, long time. That guy, I've ruined too many pieces of furniture in my house because of him. You know what I mean? And I really have. And like I think my kids have heard things that they shouldn't be hearing. You know what I mean? But that's what he does. He's the most frustrating. He's the most frustrating player in the world, and you do feel for him because, he just looks like the kid in your class that got picked on, and you stuck up for him. Leave him. He's all right. Leave him alone. He's got that about him, but that you don't want that. You need killers, man. You need people, as Carl was pointing out, mentality. You need these players that are going to come in and they're going to take the youngsters under their wing, and we don't have that because they're all so regimented. All the Mavericks have been forced out by Arteta. All the lads that had a bit of personality are being forced out by Arteta. Guendouzi was my fucking boy, man. I thought he was going to be the absolute bollocks when I first saw him. I thought he was the business. And then, he grabbed the Brentford player by the neck. What bothered me about that was a month later, Saka did the same thing. And Saka didn't get kicked out. So if Arteta's going to hold these standards for players, you stop contradicting yourself. It can't be for one player and not for another. So if it was me, like I said, I'd be getting in like an Mbueno, I'd be getting in a Cunha, but like we also discussed earlier, Premier League players, you have to add about 20 million onto them because they're Premier League players. That's the problem when you sign them, and the wages are bigger. So we're going to have to depend on Berta pulling out those gems, as was also mentioned. But for me, I agree with you on the positions that we need. Will it be any of the players that I think we should get? No, I know it won't. Because what do I know? I've only watched football for fucking 30 odd years. I know nothing compared to Lego here, but we know what players we should get. There's players, and we're not even being, as being mentioned, football manager type stuff. These are players with release these are players with release clauses, Gyökeres, these are players that are going to be on a free, Jonathan David. These aren't outrageous things we're saying. We're not like some of the younger fans that go, oh, we should sign Isak and we should sign, fucking Yamal and we should sign Pedri and we should like that. That's how you do it. These are signings that we could easily get, and Cunha, it's 60 million, I think, to trigger his. But I think those 2 red cards have made Arteta go, oh, I don't know. He seems a bit, I'd say that's good. But I hope that you're right, Aaron. I hope that Berta has come in to go and he's gone, oh, let me see your little list there. Did you the list Arteta has stuck to the fridge with his fucking with drawing in crayon the players he wants, and I hope
with a little smiley face on it. Remember
exactly
that Amazon thing where he had that on the board, when it all the happy faces. Yeah. What was that?
And I hope Berta takes that and he fucking goes and takes a big shit and wipes his arse with it and goes, right, listen here, this is who we're going for. Your players are awful. You've had your go. You've signed 32 of them. About 4 have worked out, and the ones that have worked out, like Declan Rice, he wasn't a find. That's not a gem. Everybody knew about Declan Rice. You spent 100 million on him. That's not like Klopp signing Luis Diaz. You know what I mean? That's not taking a chance on a player. That's a proven Premier League player. And not only did you do that, then you spent 100 million on him, and then you played him out of position. I would go, you're not signing a holding midfielder. You have £100 million holding midfielder there in the team already. What are you signing Zubimendi for? Drop Rice back. Put Lewis Skelly as an 8. There's all these options in-house that a good manager could get a song out of. But we're stuck with the most stubborn manager in history. The most stubborn manager. Even the likes of Alex Ferguson, would change his assistant manager every few years. You know what I mean? You need these opinions. You need to get opinions off people. You know, Wenger has Pat Rice, and you need these. But Arteta has his two little. He has his two little. I don't know if he made them in a lab or whatever that sit beside him, and they just nod along with him. They just do. He needs someone to like Berta to come in and go, listen, pal, you're a rookie at the end of the day. This is your first job, mate. You know, I've been around the block. But, you know, I've rambled on a bit there, but that's, you know, that's how frustrated I get, because we know the signings we should make, but we also know the signings that Arteta will make.
Yeah. What I'll do is I'll throw my opinion in, but obviously, hello, NORMSKI, man. It's always
sorry, man. You're good.
A pleasure.
Sorry for the lateness.
No, listen, man. You're a busy man. You know what I mean? You're a wanted man, a needed man across the England, mate.
Tuesday's not the best day for me, but you know what I mean.
Listen, man. Well, it's the best day for me now that I'm graced with your wonderful presence, NORMSKI, mate. Now, big up, man. Big up to everybody, man. Big up. I will get you up to speed to what we're talking about. We're basically talking about our incomings now. We've sort of been doing sort of like a show of six players, you know, that you think are likely sort of going to come in. And I'll give you an example now, because I'll sort of bring in mine. So I've sort of gone for a goalkeeper. I believe we need to get in a right-sided centre-back, defensive mid, a left 8, left wing, and a striker. And to start off with goalkeeper for me, I would go for like almost like a Keylor Navas sort of signing. NORMSKI, you need to mute, brother. Sorry. Yeah. Someone's getting the telling off, eh?
Yes. It's what Lego head needs, bruv. He needs a fucking slap, bruv.
A bit of
that Jamaican Caribbean disciplina, bruv, in the vicinatina. Best believe that.
I forgot my mic was not muted.
NORMSKI's giving someone a NORMSKI tell off, isn't it? Yeah, a classic.
It's not my wife. It's not my wife. It's my son.
Oh no, I love it. Otherwise, you're gonna get the old.
No, I mean, it was my missus, mate. You want to hear me one of those ones? Sorry about that, people. Sorry about that.
No. You're all good, man. You're all good. Yeah. So what I was sort of saying, Norms, is for me, for goalkeeper, I haven't actually got one in mind. I can't think who it was that mentioned. It might have been you, Shane, that mentioned that Garcia. But I did read reports today that Atletico fancy their chances of getting him in there. So I think that might put a bit of a spanner to that sort of works. But even in general, anyway, I think if we've got limited budget, which we will have a limited budget, let's forget Wenger's war chest has not been found. Let's just get that right. It just hasn't. I wouldn't sort of spend that anyway. And what I said before is I'd try and get like a Keylor Navas-esque signing, you know, someone with a bit of quality, got a bit of years on the clock. Do you know what I mean? But they're either going to come in for a 5 million or maybe even a 3. I wish I had an example. I didn't do enough of my research, but you kind of get the gist of what I'm sort of saying. Cheap, cheerful for a goalkeeper, not like a bloody Neto. Do you know what I mean? But you get what I'm saying. And for the right-sided centre-back, when I did actually do a little bit of research, so I didn't realise, and whilst negotiations might be quite sort of long-winded, Jonathan Tah is actually available on a free transfer. Now, for me, that would be an absolute fantastic signing for us. I don't think he'd actually has got. I think he was talking with Barcelona, but I think it's all stalled there. I mean, just to get him in there, I think that'd be a fantastic little piece of business for Arsenal. Market opportunities and all that. We don't really sort of take them, but when I was having a look at that, I thought, do you know what? That's an absolute no-brainer for me. It's sort of. I'm not saying sorts out the cover for Saliba, because you know Saliba's sort of irreplaceable in that, but if you had a Ben White having to move over and then someone else having to go to right back to accompany for a Saliba being out, or you could have a Jonathan Tah coming in there for free. I mean, my hands are sort of up there and I'm going, yeah, this is a great opportunistic signing that Arsenal sort of need to be making. And while I'm going into the central defensive midfielder, I'm actually sort of moving away from the Zubimendi, because while I don't mind a Zubimendi, it wouldn't be the worst signing we'd make. I actually wouldn't mind having a go for Polinia again. He's not having the best of times at Bayern Munich, I don't think, where he is. And if he, you know, fancy coming back to England, I'd try and sort of nab him in there. I'm fairly sure I've been reading that he's not having the best of sort of seasons there. Come back, you know what I mean, on a little bit of a cut price. Give us 3 years. Do you know what I mean? These are the signings I think we need to make. And it's almost a copy and paste, really, for the left side. I'd have Douglas Luiz there. You know, again, he's not really having the best of times at Juventus. Come back on a cut price. Juventus will probably need the dough. We need a left-sided sort of 8. I think it'd be fantastic for what Arteta sort of wants there. Bring Rice back into that number 6 position. I reckon that could sort of quite work out. And what we were sort of saying is these aren't unrealistic signings to make. I actually don't want Williams. I don't know about you lot, and I'll let you obviously all go on it. I really don't. I reckon it's a very, very, very risky signing. And do you know what I think it stinks of, that Nico Williams? Mudryk. But I don't know what it is about it, but he stinks of a Mudryk-esque sort of signing. You get him. I know it's not for 90 million, but I reckon it's a massively risky signing. But I like that Semenya geezer. I'd have a little bit of him, or, you know, if you want to get well, I know he's on the other side, but I'm just saying in terms of wingers, I wouldn't mind sort of signing him.
You got Kudus, who could play either side as well. I mean, we was in for him. Yep. You know what I mean? Obviously, what he would go for now. You know, it's a pity we didn't move for him when he was worth around about 40 mil. I think that's what West Ham got him for.
Yeah. Oh,
even in the midfield, in terms of a number 6 as well. I know that you know what I mean. He had a good game. Was it yesterday or the day before against Netherlands, Zubimendi? But there's other games where he's looked a little bit lightweight, and I think he needs to bulk up a bit. And this whole thing of, you know, like the deal's already sorted. It's not, because you hear him being linked with other, you know, like Barcelona. You know, other clubs are looking at him as well. I mean, even but he'll probably cost us a bit of money. You know, Brighton, they like to flip their players and, you know, make a bit of money. Even that Baleba guy from Brighton bought him for 27 mil from, I think it was it Lille? I think it was Lille, if my memory serves me right. Plays in that number 6 role. I think he's about 21, 22. And I remember him coming on the game against when they were losing at home to Man City. Brought him on, totally changed the game. Brighton come out 2-1 winners. Do you know what I mean? So maybe that's an option to look at, but you're probably now going to be looking at least 50 million upwards. That's what Brighton are going to be looking at him, because he's having a half-decent season with them. In terms of, because I was kind of in and out of your stream, so I was kind of just listening to some of the players in terms of the strikers, and also the whole fact of the pay structure. It's just so much. A lot of these players are overpaid, and I think that's one of the problems going into the summer, that we need to be offloading these players that are on really high wages. I mean, listen, if there's this so-called war chest that people are talking about of 300 million, can you imagine 300 million? If he had that to spend, that's Arteta now spending £1 billion. Yeah, up to £1 billion. Yeah, mate, you would have to get us over the line with that kind of spend, because that's any manager, Arsenal manager, he's had the most to spend. He's been back the most, so he would have that pressure would be on him. And you know, Big Berta will be putting the pressure on. Mark my words. But I think earlier, I think what's the name? Say Nesta said that I think it's really important that we get the players out first, offload those players before we start looking at them. I think that's really key. We need to offload a few players, and obviously we've got a couple of players that are going to go on a free, like Jorginho, like Partey. You know what you're going to get for Zinchenko. You've got what's his name? What's the name coming back from loan? The 2 guys from loan from Lazio.
Yeah, you got Nelson and Vieira. Yeah,
Nelson, Vieira, Nuno Tavares, and
Sambi
Lokonga.
Yeah. Tavares has got an obligation. He's gone.
Yeah. I think it's about something like 10 million or something like that, isn't it? But what kind of sort of money will we be making, you know, with those players gone? As I say, about 3 or 4 of them are going to be going on a free. So we ain't going to get... Oh, yes, we're going to get the wage bill off. We know that. We'll get the wage bill off. But it's about money up front. Do you know what I mean? So it's going to be an interesting summer. It's going to be an interesting summer. But I think, you know, Berta will have to really act quick in terms of the, you know, getting rid of these players. As I say, a lot of them are on a lot of money. You know, you know, we ain't going to get rid of Jesus this summer because obviously he's still nursing an ACL. So that's absolutely crazy.
Yeah. No, mate. Yeah, like I said, there it is. I don't know if you see it before, Norms, but yeah, there it is. Just quickly before you carry on, mate. Shane, you do need to shoot, my brother, didn't you?
I do. I've got to go put the kids to bed.
Yep. Listen, man. Thanks as always, man. Yeah, that's it. 2 nights in a row. Do you know what I mean? I absolutely appreciate the time, man. It's always fantastic to talk to you because you know what you're talking about. Do you know what I mean? That's all. That's I just enjoy it. Do you know what I mean? When you just appreciate that someone knows a bit about the club I love so much. Do you know what I mean? It's been an absolute pleasure. Where can people find you? The link's in the title, by the way, but where can we find you? What you got coming up, bruv?
Yeah, links in the title. I put up the first of the series I'm doing of was football really better back in the day, or is it just nostalgia? I did the 50s today and compared it, and I'm not going off a script or anything. I'm just going by my football knowledge, which when it comes to the history of football, I know quite a bit, but I probably got a few things wrong in it. But just going through it with Stanley Matthews and the like, and the World Cups that we saw and the goal scored and things like that. So I'll be doing the 60s tomorrow and then the 70s, obviously, and work my way up. But yeah, it's just sort of a 20-minute video on, do we just think that football was better when we were younger because we were younger, or was it really? So I have that, and I have obviously my daily shorts, and I'll be on a few live streams here and there. But yeah, hop over to Shane Gooner and give like and a subscribe, and same to everybody else on the panel, because we all put the work in and for your enjoyment. So show us some love, we show you some love, show us some love. And cheers to the panel, everybody. Carl, NORMSKI, Nadster, Aaron. Talk again, lads.
Pleasure, mate. Take care, bud. Have a good evening, man.
Take it easy, bro.
Yeah, take care, man. So yeah, just for my striker, for me, I don't know about you, I think on the 1st of June, I'll just get this one out the way, boys, and I'll come to Nats, because I don't think we've been to you for a little bit. Nats, 1st of June for me. Release the Gyökeres release clause. Get it done. Get it out the absolute way for me. There you go. The first. Get it done. Accepted. Negotiate with the player. How much do you want? He's gonna want a lot of money. Swallow it. Pause. And just get that done. Out the way. Get your striker in. Essentially, if you can just agree with that player, and we can clearly see with the Kai Havertz and that we are going to pay big money.
Yeah,
get it done
100%.
of June.
Yeah,
start talking with him officially. Pay that release clause. Get that out the way done. If we get that Gyökeres in the first couple of weeks, let's just say negotiations take a couple of weeks, and we're sitting there in mid-June, and we've already got Gyökeres in. What a fantastic start to that window is, where you've got your striker in, and probably the big signing of the summer-esque. You'd still want other good big signings, wouldn't you? But that one there, straight away, first off, Natster. Would you do the same thing, bruv?
I'm glad. I'm very, very glad that you've come to me next. Like, I've been waiting for this shit, yeah? Best believe that. Much love to you, brother, as you know it. But yeah, Gyökeres has got £100 million release clause. Get it done. Bad boy, mafioso Berta. Do it. Do it. That's the only thing I want to. At the end of the day, it has to be done. You're spot on, mate. Absolutely spot on. 1st of June, get it done. You know, because the World Cup ain't for another year. Sweden will be there or thereabouts there, pretty much. They got a decent enough team. Obviously him being the major star. Get it fucking done. Now, I want to see 4 players in the summer. I'm not going to go on too long, but bear with. But I want 4 players, especially if we don't sell all of them players that I want to be sold, that I mentioned earlier, that you missed NORMSKI, but I'm sure you can, someone will clip it up, track it back, whatever. But there's 4 players that I want. And I don't want to hear, but we don't have the money. No, I'm not hearing that bullshit. I'm not hearing it. So there's 4 players. We're going to start at the back. Pause. We are going to start with the goalkeeper. And you'll see where I'm going with this. Jan Oblak. On transfer market, he is 25 million euros. That's about 20 million pounds. Do not tell me that can't be done. He starts, and then you can see a David Raya as a backup, and he could learn from him.
What years he got
Jan
left
Oblak
on his
is a bit
deal?
Bit taller.
How long has he got left? Sorry to interrupt you there. How many years he got left on now? Because
I didn't
25 million at Oblak. I'm
it.
fucking gobbling that up. Yeah.
But it's 20 million. And to be honest, if his contract's like a couple of years, we could get around that, give or take. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's a very affordable first team goalkeeper. He slots straight in. He's got the experience. He's won trophies. Been to 2 Champions League finals. I don't want to hear this bullshit, as Northside would say. Big up Northside, yeah? That's number 1. Number 2, Miguel Gutierrez, because we know Kieran Tierney's gone to Celtic. We know that Miles Lewis-Skelly is not going to be an out-and-out left-back. Whether Arteta's here for a bit longer or not, we know he is. But regardless, he's on 25 million euros. That's his value. So again, another £20 million. So what are we on? £40 million. Okay. Gyökeres is 100 mil, so that's 140 mil. And we got the money. So what is that in pounds? About what, 90 million pounds? 85, 90 million pound release clause? If we just go straight for that. Boom. So you're talking 130, 140 million. Now, the big one, boys. The big boy. Pause, that I call it, yeah? This is the one that will turn heads. And I'm willing to make this deal. I'd definitely make this deal, bro. Florian Wirtz is valued at 140 million pounds. Oh, sorry, 140 million euros, which is about 120 million pounds. But if we send Wodegaard, missing guard, Gibraltar guard the other way, we could knock that down to about what? 90, 80 mil. Plus, with the wages, it would only cost us about, I would say, at minimum 60 grand more. So let's just say we use Odegaard as part of the deal. So
I'd love that, by the way.
That would go to about, okay, so what is it? 130, 140 mil. Okay, let's say about 240, 250 mil. Let's just 250 mil, yeah? Bearing in mind, players are going to go off the wage bill. We'll sell a few players. Yeah. So we'll make about 30 to 50 mil back. So that's what, 200 million pound net spend? And with this Berta goal, we could probably bring it down to 150, which is another 50 mil profit. If we don't sign anyone else, but we sign those 4 players, even with Arteta, we can do bits, and then it will prove that this fraudulent wet wipe Lego head is done and dusted. We get Don Diego Simeone in, and then we can start winning trophies. And then next season, if it doesn't happen, or the following season, rather than next season, we can start winning the big boy trophies. The Premier League, the Champions League. Those are the 4 players. That right there, minus the centre-back, you know, and the only other, let's say 5, fuck it, you know. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mumbo number 5. Yeah, best believe that. Do you know what I'm saying? I'll drop one at centre-back, because I know obviously with Saliba and all that. Yeah. Best believe that, yeah. I would get Joachim Anderson.
Lou Vega in the building.
Yeah. Lou Vega. Best believe. Yeah, for damn sure. I get Joachim Anderson from Fulham, I believe he's at.
A little bit of Monica on that.
A little bit of Monica in my life. A little bit of Erica.
I knew I'd get you to sing it.
Yeah. A little bit of Readers, what I need. Yeah, but yeah, I love that song. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, we get a Joachim Anderson. He'll cost us about, what, 20, 25 million pounds from Fulham. Fulham are doing bits this season. They're still in the FA Cup, by the way, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. They're in the quarterfinals against Palace. I reckon they'll get to the semis, because I think Fulham have a bit more over Palace. I think Fulham will edge it, in my opinion. So basically, you're looking at just shy of 300, but then with the players that will sell, the net spend will be like 200 to 150 million. Now, don't tell me that can't be done in the summer. That's 5 players. And I want more players in, as you know, like NORMSKI, you'll know like now. But either way, that's 5 players. I don't want to hear no excuses. So when Arteta gets them players, because a lot of these tip-toppity gooners want Gyökeres, they would definitely take a Florian Wirtz. Definitely. A Joachim Anderson is tried and tested. He's proven Premier League quality. And then a Miguel Gutierrez, that they probably won't rate him as highly, but trust me, he can defend, but more importantly, he could cross the ball. And that would instantly be a Kieran Tierney replacement. Better going forward, whereas Tierney's better defensively. But for 20 million pounds, it's a bargain, mate. And that's what bad boy mafioso Berta is there for. Do you know what I'm saying? Dio, 100%. It can be done. If Berta's the man that he is with his track record, it will be done. Thy will be done on earth as it is in turn 7. Best believe. Cool runnings, bruv. We're doing it. We're going to do this. Like, do you know what I'm saying? I reckon this will be done. I've just laid out the transfer policy, the transfer plan. Very simple. I do not have coaching badges. I'm not a sporting director. I'm not a board member at any company. And I've laid it out in, 5 minutes? And I've done a few very basic profit margins as well. Net spend for you net spend merchants out there. We get that with or without Arteta, this club will go forward. And then Lego Head has no excuse to move this club forward. Because then what that will do, it will bring in something that he hasn't had since he got through that fucking door. Accountability. This is what I want to see. And Berta will do that, bro. Now, will he sign all of them players? I think Verts he probably won't because of the price, but that's who I want. Because I want to see these gooners cry when Verts starts balling out. And he's been balling out for Leverkusen and he's proven anyway. Even in the Euros, he was sourcing out for Germany, bro. He is everything that Gibraltar Guard is not. And what these top gooners think, these Arteta sexuals think. Yeah? That's what I want to see. But I reckon out of the 5 that I mentioned, we'll get 4 minus Verts. Yeah. And I'd be happy with that. But if we got Verts,
I'd be happy with that.
That would be a 10 out of 10 window. So for all of you 10 out of 10 window merchants, if we don't get them 5 players, it's not a 10 out of 10. Done.
Yeah.
Period.
No, facts, man. Yeah, no, always hitting the.
I know. I was going a bit like mad and all that.
No, you're right, man. No, listen, that's what we want, man. That's what I want you on there. Do you know what I mean? Get your opinion out. That's it. Deep breath now. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
I've been waiting for that. I've been waiting for that shit. But it had to be said, bro. Sorry, I just had to. Yeah, man. I went off a bit, but yeah, had to be done, man.
You're good, my bro. Carl, and then obviously we'll go NORMSKI to sort of start closing. Carl, what's your sort of take on it, my friend? Would you sort of do what I would do? Would you sort of get the Victor Gyökeres in as quick as possible, job done, or have you got another route you'd go down, my friend?
It all depends what kind of style of football you're going to play for the next season. If we're going to stick to this game, then you have to go with somewhere like, you got to go with someone like a Vlahovic. You got to go with someone with like a Dovbyk if you possibly
Dovbyk,
and so on. I personally think that if you get a Gyökeres in or an Isak or someone of that caliber player,
Ivan Toney, I forgot about that. Sorry, Carl.
Ivan Toney I would take, but if we played the system, then that's who you go for. But if you're going to change it to how we used to play like 2 years ago, then you've got to. Then you go after Gyökeres or an Isak, but they're going to cost a lot of money. Gyökeres' release clause is 80 million or something along those lines.
80 million pounds, 85, maybe 90 million pounds. Yeah,
that's what I said. So it's difficult because we know what caliber player we do desperately need, but at the same time as well, with all the outgoings potentially, you ain't going to get a lot of money for them. So you're just going to have to work with what you can. You can get good quality players. The Tar defender, I heard from you, Aaron. Yeah, I would personally. He's not the greatest of defenders, even though he does play for Germany. He is international for Germany. But then again, so is Kai Havertz. So you kind of have to take that with fine grain of salt. I was online to try and find whether they have 1 year left on their contract. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. One striker I would go for potentially because he is on it is reasonably a good price. Is Jonathan David?
Yep.
Potentially, 45 million euros. So it's around about 30.
His contract runs out.
His contract.
I think he's a free. Is he? Can you get him on a free? I think you can get him on a free.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. There's a couple of them. I've
I mean, he would be definitely a good backup. He'll definitely be a good backup.
I wouldn't start him though, to be honest.
He'd be a backup. He'd be a backup. He'd be a backup.
The only reason, and
he's only 24 though, isn't he? Is it about 24?
He's young. He's young. Yeah. The only reason, and I didn't want to stop Carl as well in his flow there, is that the only reason I don't believe we'll sign Gyökeres for me, I'd be all over the Davis signing, but they're not going to sign 2 strikers, I don't think, with having Havertz and Jesus there, taking 550k a week. That's the only reason why I didn't, in my thing, put signing him as well. I think it's a no-brainer of a signing. I just can't see us now having 4 strikers. And the club, obviously, I don't, but the club do consider Jesus and Havertz as that. I just can't see us signing a Gyökeres and a Davis with that. And that's the only reason I put him out of it. It's a fantastic signing, whoever makes him for free. Sorry, Cole.
Yeah, definitely. Still scrolling through now. The problem is when you get all like 1-2 years players after their deals, all like in their high 20s going into their 30s. Leroy Sané, I will probably take a wager on. We know he could end up being backup to Saka, but guess what? That is really all we need is a backup to Saka, and Sané can still do a job. I would. It's
just very quickly, Cole. So while you look at the list, would Gnabry as backup interest any of you guys? Just as a backup to Saka, or is that ship sailed?
I haven't seen it or heard really a lot of him, if I'm being honest with you, in the last year or so.
Because we know he plays on the right. I'm just putting that out there as an option as backup. I wouldn't start him week in, week out, but as a backup to Saka.
So with that said, now we're talking about having a backup for Saka, and at the moment, currently, we've got Ethan playing on that side. Yeah. Now, when Saka does come back, what sayest thou, people? Because I will still like to see Ethan in that side.
I hope he's a 10.
Yeah. This is the thing. Move him over to the 10. If Odegaard is here, move him over to the 8. Yeah. But we're in this conundrum, people, where we've got Kai Havertz. He's the problem. Because, Arteta ain't going to drop this guy. He's going to try and shoehorn him in somewhere. All right? So if, for whatever reason, we go and get a top-class striker, it means that Havertz will probably drop back as either a second striker or playing as he might even try him again in that left 8. You just don't know what's going to happen at this point. Saka. Kai Havertz right now is a bit of a what they call it, Achilles heel. When it comes to, because he's causing this situation where we can't go and get a top class striker because it's going to affect what happens to Kai in the squad, which is unfortunate. And that's why we said that from the start when he was bought, and he was bought as a number 8, and obviously that didn't work out. So he's gone and played him as a false attacking false 9 or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, and to be honest, apart from the fact that he had that little purple patch last season, he hasn't really done nothing much. And now obviously he's out injured. And again, is he going to come back the same? Do you know what I'm saying? Is he going to come back the same? And, is Arteta prepared if he's going to go and get a top-class striker? You then have somebody that you could bring off the bench, but is Arteta going to be prepared to put this guy on the bench? And how can you have somebody on 290,000 or 285,000 pounds sitting on the bench? And this is where we've gone wrong, because you've got him from Chelsea and made him the highest paid. For what? For what? What did he do at Chelsea? You see, and this is where the whole system from top to bottom is gone wrong. And that's why Berta needs to come in and really sort this out. Now, it's going to be interesting. And this is what's going to really kind of shape out what we get or what we do in the summer. You know what I mean? Because, Arteta's going to be looking for, he wants everybody to be able to score goals. So that's why I don't know if he's going to really go for an out-and-out striker. That's why he's looking at Sesko is a striker, but he's giving the same numbers as Kai Havertz, and even that other guy from
no good,
from Frankfurt?
Ekatike, is it?
Ekatike,
something like that.
It's got similar numbers. He's done well.
Yeah.
Well, when him and Marouche was playing, they were doing really well. Obviously, now that Marouche has gone, they've kind of. I mean, he's going for something like, I think he's valued at about 40 million euros, but I think they're going to probably want about 60 upwards. That's what I think Frankfurt will probably want for him. So, but my thing is, Gyökeres, I just say, soon as that summer comes, sign the dotted line. But it's that problem, as Carl said, the problem is that it's the style of football that we're going to play, and is it going to suit? Because we play this U-shaped football, maybe a Dovdic would be better. I went through, after I finished on an emergency stream with Lee a couple of weeks ago, or a week or two ago, we went backstage and for about another hour or so, we was looking at his movement and stuff, and he would probably work really well for Arsenal. So it just really depends on what he does in terms of his style of play. You know what I mean? So whoever he gets will determine how we play. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean?
Oh yeah. No, mate.
But that's why. That's why I want club signings, mate. Do you know what I'm saying? That's why I bought in Havertz. I don't care what anyone says. If he is the best in that number 10, and clearly Ødegaard ain't been doing it, we can sell him. Obviously, Havertz will be harder to get rid of than an Ødegaard, because I believe even in Europe there will be teams that are willing to pay Ødegaard similar wage. It will be less than 240, but even if it's like, let's say we sell Ødegaard for like 40 million, and then they're willing to put him on 200k a week. If anyone can do it, it's Berta. But then, like I mentioned before, if we put him in a deal with Leverkusen, then Leverkusen have already got their replacement. You know, is he as good as Wirtz? No, but that's why we do a player plus cash deal. Why don't we start doing that shit? Because then, you bring a Gyökeres in straight away, you bring a Wirtz in straight away, you bring a Gutierrez, you can bring a Joachim Anderson. With Ethan, I want to see him at number 10, but imagine Ethan learning from a Florian Wirtz, bruv. And Wirtz has got a bit of goals to his game as well.
And he's still young. He's
still young. Wirtz is like 21, 22.
He started from when he was like 15.
He was in the academy. He was in Cologne.
I mean,
he is a proper baller.
Yeah, playing for the first team, he started off quite young. I mean, I'm looking at his stats, and he's for 6 years consistently in terms of his assists and goals. I mean, the most goal. I mean, at the moment, he's currently, I don't know if that's changed, but he's currently on 9 goals. I might have to refresh this, but he's currently on 9 goals and 10 assists at the moment.
Yeah.
The season before, 11 goals, 11 assists.
That number will go up this season. Whether it's assist and or goals will go up this season. But if you bring him in, and this is why I mentioned club signings, because I look at Berta, we look at Arteta now. Yes, obviously he's still going to persist with this U-shaped football bullshit. We know this, but Arteta's not going to be here for that much longer. Even if it takes another year, I don't think he's going to be here this time next year. I said give it Christmas, he'll be out of it. We'll get a Don Diego, we'll get a proper manager. And with the club signings, those 5 that I mentioned, but initially 4, and then obviously Ethan learning from a Wirtz day in, day out compared to Ødegaard, bruv. It's chalk and cheese, bruv. Chalk and cheese. You got like even a Jesus for the time being, looking at what Gyökeres is doing. It's just like, oh shit. I've got to step my game up and I've got to adapt my game so I don't get injured, but that I justify playing regularly enough. Because Jesus, he's got quality, but he's not an out-and-out striker and he just doesn't get the numbers. Shane made a great point earlier before he went. Mbuemo, Mbuemo at right wing is back up for Saka. I'd take that all day long. I've been seeing that, on the internet. There's like, the transfer gossip or whatever. I'd take that all day. Sane as backup, I could hear it, but Gnabry, and then obviously Elise, before he went to Bayern Munich, for me, he was the number 1 for competition for Saka. But again, to win the Premier League and Champions League, what Arteta wants, you need a squad. So when I mention these proper ballers, Wirtz being number 1, people are going to scoff at it, be like, oh, but we don't have the money. Well, hang on. You're the same fuckers that were saying we have a £300 million war chest. So either we do have a £300 million war chest and you're just backing what Arteta does because you're still plugged in to the Arteta sexual matrix, or we don't have that money and you're chatting shit and you're a fucking prick. So which one is it? Those 5 signings that I mentioned are beyond realistic and are doable, especially with Berta, bad boy mafioso Berta being brought in. It's as simple as that. We need club signings. We don't need Arteta signings, which I believe, in my opinion, is why Berta was brought in the first place. And then he'll clean up the wage bill as well. So even if it takes longer to get rid of a Havertz, a Jesus, I think Ødegaard, that Wirtz deal, or even if we just sell him to like a Dortmund, for example, like even if it's just a straight sale, that's definitely possible. Out of the top 5 earners in it, other than maybe Thomas Partey going to Saudi, the next realistic possible sell that we could make is probably an Erdegaard, because there will be clubs that will want him.
Yeah.
Even if they pay like 40, 35 mil, but then are willing to pay 200 odd K a week, so we don't have to offset that extra 40K that he's on at the moment. And then we can bring in a verse on 250K plus in it. Do you know what I'm saying? 300K. And we could put Gyökeres on 200K as an example from 27. And then that can be assessed once the wage bill is restructured. So yeah, it will take a little bit of time. But again, it just goes to show that the mess that we're in. And this is, for me, what baffles me is it's just simple solutions. Fuck the internal solutions, bollocks. It's simple solutions. 5 players. That is a spine. And then you've got competition for the players like the Ethans, the Miles Lewis-Skellies. You know, Declan Rice will still be here, and I still want him here. You know, whether we get a Zubimendi as well or not. You know,
so that's those 5. Say in an ideal world, those 5, would they be first team choice? Would they be starters for you? Those 5,
all of them. Oblak, Gutierrez at left back,
right.
Joachim Anderson. If Saliba leaves or Gabriel, either one of the two, Joachim Anderson starts. If one of them two leave, but even if they both stay at least another year, let's say Saliba stays for 1 more year. Joachim Anderson is a perfect backup. He's quality and he's Premier League proven. We know he can deliver.
He's a good player.
And then obviously Vert starts. Yeah. No one can tell me.
Oh, no,
Vert's levels above Odegaard. And then obviously Gyökeres as well.
I think what I was alluding to is that with those starting, and then obviously you're looking at the players, because you want a squad, don't you? I mean, this season we haven't really had much of a squad. With a pretty small squad, depleted at times because of injury. So with those key core players there, the spine, and who would the players now be in terms of like the backup? If you're saying now.
Oh, the backup. Okay. Yeah. So Lewis Skelly for me, I think you might have mentioned this, Aaron. He can. Well, we know he's a midfielder anyway, so he's back up in that position. But he could also be back up at left back. You know, Calafiori will be here for another season, I'd say at least.
Will be.
Even though he can't defend and all of that, but under a better manager, you could get more out of him. You know, maybe be not as chaotic and all of that.
Can I throw something out there?
Marino at centre mid as well. He'll be back up for another year. Go on, Aaron. Go on.
Yeah. It's like these are market opportunities. You might have to correct me if I'm wrong here, but you know that Tarek Mitchell at Palace, he's a left back, isn't he?
Yes.
He's available for a free transfer.
Is he? Free transfer?
For a free
I'll bring him in. Have him and Gutierrez, bro. That sorts out our left back.
Get on the phone to Big Berta.
Yeah, Big Berta.
Get on the phone to him and bring that number and say, yo, Big Berta, yo. Is a left back at Crystal
Got the
Palace.
plug in it.
Yes. Oh, they'll pay there. Yeah. And bring your cheese wine with you while you're at it.
Yeah.
Listen.
Get that classic glass of Italian wine and all of that.
You know,
have a bit of pasta, pizza, whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? Get on the blower and then, Do
you know what? If Berta thinks like us, if he's thinking like us, man, we'll have a solid summer.
100%.
How's it that we've got common sense? And these men, they're getting paid loads and loads of money, getting loads of money, and they can't see this in front of them. What's going on, man?
I didn't even know Tyreek Mitchell was a free signing. That's why I didn't even bring him up, because I knew he was a reasonable price.
Boy, do you know what I would do? Yeah, and it is for like squad building. Let's break it down. I'll absolutely have Tarek Mitchell in all day long.
All day.
100%. I'll throw this out there now. I would rip up Gabriel Jesus' contract and get Gyökeres and Jonathan David in, and just start again and take the hit on
and Havertz as well.
Jesus. Arsenal. What I'm trying to say, people. Arsenal have done it enough times. They've ripped up contracts. So it's nothing new to them.
He's a poison, this Jesus now. By the time he's fit, he'll have a year and a half left on his deal.
Rip up Tommy Asu's contract as well.
60 grand. Like, it's mad that we're coming back down this avenue, but
if needed.
like the point I'm just sort of maybe specifically saying for it, rather over the Havertz, is because Havertz is back in the summer. There's more realistic chance of signing him. Gabriel Jesus is injured for the next summer window. He's got a year less on his deal. I would just go, Jesus, look, mate, like you are really, really, really holding this club back now. Fuck him completely off. You think, if you was to say give Gabriel Jesus his wages, say you give him a 15-20 mil payoff, just get Jonathan David in. That's what you'd have paid for him anyway. Do you know what I mean? It's just almost like you're just paying David a fee of 20 mil. I'd just go, fuck off, Jesus. We are absolutely done with you, mate. Yeah. And get Gyökeres and a Davis in. I think that's a no-brainer for me. And you was alluding to it, NORMSKI, when you were saying you just hope this Berta just has a bit of comment about him and just goes, yeah, look, there are some things to be made here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
could you imagine?
I think he will do it.
And Gyökeres and the Jonathan Davids. And I say Leroy Sané because I said about this, he's a free transfer. And I said this, right? Ooh. And this is what we'd do. I know this ain't playing FIFA either. If you sold Trossard and got yourself 15-20 million, that would pay Jonathan David and Sané signing on fee and wages for the next 4 or 5 years.
Oh,
it's not. These are no-brainers. Absolutely no-brainers.
I need to look at the free transfer market again. I didn't know how many players were on the free. I knew.
There's a few.
There was it Jonathan Tah, and then there, obviously Jonathan David. I just realised, but was it Tyreek Mitchell on the free?
Mitchell,
Sane on the free.
There's a few more.
Get them free signings in today. Make that happen, bruv. You know, and again, like what you were saying, NORMSKI, like get on the blower. You know, like any of the Arsenal media team. You know, get Berta to contact me, bruv. I've got the list. We've got the list. And it will save you a fortune, mate. Yes. Rip up Jesus if it's required. And also Tomiyasu, because Tomiyasu's out for a while as well.
You know what?
Rip them 2 contracts off, and then we'll start again, innit? We'll start again.
You know what's quite warming, though, going into this, especially with Berta. And I think this is probably one of the best signings we've made. Right? This is probably one of the best signings we've made. Leo. Because I feel that because he has a track record of buying gems and he's very good when it comes to those shrewd business and, you know, selling and, you know, he's got the record. We've seen it. So we don't have to question it. We haven't seen that with their do. Yeah. When you got a free guy, he's buying a free guy and paying the club £3 million for him. Martinelli. Come on, man. Yeah. So this guy, Berta, I've got a lot of faith in him. And listen, I just wanted to see him in action and say, he's probably down there now looking out and checking out whatever he needs to check out, whatever. But as soon as that 1st of June, I want to see, 100. We've got the first strike, because I think the striker is the first thing we need to get over the line. Yeah, I don't want to be seeing us going, we look. Listen, I think we do need another left back, and as you said, there's a couple of left backs out there we can look at, because the problem what we've got at the moment is we've got a lot of injured left backs, right, and left backs that are not left backs, and we're losing a left back on a free to Celtic, so that who's an actual natural left back. Listen, Skelly's doing a great job there, but I just say he can play as a 6 and he can play as an 8. Do you know what I mean? So
I want him in midfield, bro. I want him in midfield. I don't want him as left back. At the very, very worst with this injury crisis, that's only when I'd have him as backup left back. But I agree with you, NORMSKI. Like this Berta, you know, some people will say, "Oh yeah, we're getting too gassed. Is he technically over the line yet?" Look, I believe it's going to happen. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But what I want to see, other than Gyökeres, 1st of June, I want to see a couple, if not one of them, free transfers. So if it's like a Gyökeres and a Jonathan David, automatically that goes from 0 to, I'd say 6 to start with. And then if we get the others, you know, we get the Mitchells, we get the Gutierrez, maybe an All Black. Out of all the positions, I don't think we'll probably get a keeper, but that's the one I want in terms of number one.
You mean a higher profile?
So that David Raya could raise his game, because he needs that, bruv. He's way too comfortable.
He needs it. He's got nobody. I mean, you've got 2 youngsters and Neto, who what's he done? Apart from trying to save a ball.
Cole Hine is doing well on loan, but again, you know, like shots fired at left, right, and centre. Pause.
He had a stinker for his country.
But as a third choice, we could have a lot worse. Do you know what I'm saying? As a third choice, we can have a lot worse. Yeah, I mean, we have fucking Alex Runnison, bruv. 1 million on 30 grand a week. I'll take a Cole Hine as second choice, never mind third choice, bruv.
Let me
No,
just
I'm
take some
saying.
of these questions.
No
Yeah,
problem,
I'll take this
no
first
problem.
one. I'll take this first one. We'll have NORMSKI taking the second one, and if Cole's back, he'll take the third one. So yeah, question to the panel: if we did sign a Gyökeres or an Osimhen, do you honestly believe that under Arteta we would succeed? Basically, I think he would succeed, or we would succeed. Yeah, man. Listen, I think alone, absolutely no. It's going to take a lot more than a Victor Gyökeres, I think, to sort of get us to succeed. But reading your question again for the second time properly, I don't know. With Gyökeres, I just sort of think. I mean, I think he might be a little bit better suited to Arteta, only just sort of in the fact that in the sort of fact that he's more of a build sort of like a Kai Havertz. Well, I suppose he's not really. It's a little bit tricky one. I'm undoing myself now. I think, to be fair, anyone under Mikel Arteta, and this is how I'll get around it, because I've just thought of two different things and I'm contradicting myself. So I'll start again. I actually think Mikel Arteta wouldn't massively improve anyone. They're getting back to the point of, as a striker, that's why I don't think he's signed one for a while. I don't think he knows what to do with them. FC everywhere. I really don't. You look at the last time he had a striker, Aubameyang. He didn't know what to do with him. He put him out a left-sided fucking winger and made him track back. Do you know what I mean? Look at Lacazette. He never really got the best out of him. But the problem is whilst I'm sort of saying, then, essentially, yeah, I don't think he'll improve any striker. He's got to have one in there, mate. Like, someone's got to come in. And for me, the only reason I'd say a Gyökeres for the signing is for the pure simple fact that I hope that Mikel Arteta won't be staying one very long. Do you know what I mean? I really hope that this is going to be his last season at Arsenal. And two, he's the most proven of the likely ones that we're going to get. But yeah, to answer your question, would they sort of succeed? I reckon a lot of players would struggle under Mikel Arteta. Why? Because we've seen a lot of forward-minded players struggle under Mikel Arteta.
All of them would.
Saka has absolutely regressed. Remember a couple of years ago, he was taking on men, beating them for absolute fun. Now he's just a shell. He just cuts back in and whips a ball in. A very, very, very good ball he whips in, mind. I'll give him that. But he's just so handcuffed, so sort of knotted and tired. And he does that with all his players. Under him,
do you know what, though? Do you know what,
someone
guys?
in for a future manager.
I think, listen, it's difficult to say. I mean, you look back 2 seasons, last season and the season before, especially 2022-23, where we was playing absolutely fine. So it's not like we can't play that kind of football. And obviously, the system, he was playing a 4-2-3-1. 4-2-3-1, right? So it was working, was playing fluid football and whatever. So I thought, great. Now, I think Berta, as a sporting director, will dictate and sort of say, well, the sort of players that I'm bringing in, you need to be playing this kind of football.
Yeah.
Right? So Arteta's he's either going to have to sink or swim. Mm-hmm. Yeah? It's not that he can't play that fluid type of football, because we've seen it. Because we've been asking the question year after year, especially this year, why are we playing PTSD football or PST football, whatever you want to call it? Literally, handbrake football. Why? It's because he's frightened to lose. Yeah, he just thought possession-based football, don't lose it, control the game. And if we come out and we win by 1-0, and that's why it shows in the league. We've got 10 draws, guys. Yeah? Those 10 draws, turn them into wins. Yeah? We've dropped 20.
Facts, bruv.
What 20 points we've dropped. Look at that, 20 points, people. That's ridiculous, man. I think we're the second highest draw, I think, behind Everton. I think Everton got 11, and we and somebody else has got 10 draws. For a team that's sitting second, come on, man.
It's not good enough. And we've always had a lot of draws, haven't we, as well? Under Arteta's tenure. Just like you said, he's too afraid of turning them draws into the wins as opposed to turning them into losses. You don't win titles that way.
No, you don't.
No one wins titles being that conservative, especially in this modern era, mate. Do you know what I mean? It just doesn't happen. FC always, has got another one here. Is Berta being our sporting director? Would these players come and play for Arteta? Even though I think you're saying, would they still come and play for Arteta? What do you reckon on that, Norms?
That's a great question.
It's a great question.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. If it was Arteta and Edu doing the negotiations, I think they're probably like, yo, forget that. You know what I mean? I think Berta carries a lot of weight because he's the one that's going to be doing the deals and stuff like that. he's going to have to sell that to them in terms of, you know, what the club is intended to do, who the players that they're going to be bringing in. I think if it was just Arteta by himself, you know, top players are going to look. I think top players are going to look at him and go, "Yo, what have you won?" Do you know what I mean? So it would be a bit of a struggle. Not going to lie, it would be a struggle. So I'm really praying that Berta can change things. That's what I'm saying. Berta is key in this. I think if we'd gone for, say, something like a Thomas Rosicky or a Per Mertesacker, I don't think we would be, or we might not be seeing the caliber of players coming in. So I'm going to say if it was Arteta, I don't think we would get the caliber of players coming in, but I'm just relying on Big Berta to just work his magic, man.
Yeah, no. I'm totally with you, man. Cole, if you're back in the building, this one's for you. Big up, Joe, as well, man. Question to the panel. We'll give it to Cole. Why do other Arsenal fans make excuses every single season?
You're muted, mate.
I think you're muted, bro. Muted, Cole.
Oh, I've been having a mare the last 10, 15 minutes. Freaking hell. My antivirus decided to go down like that, and now I've got issues. But anyway, I'm back.
Oh, no.
But alright, sorted. Just cleared the cookies and it's all cleared now. So it is just copium for this lot at the end of the day. Do you actually know what the dictionary definition is of trust the processes? Do you actually know what the dictionary definition is? It's a coping mechanism for losing.
There you go.
That's what it is. It's a coping mechanism for losing. They won't call out what is wrong with the club. They won't call out the players because they believe it should be togetherness is key. Togetherness is key, but it only matters when you're winning. What's the point in keeping a squad together for 4 or 5 years straight and not win anything, especially with a club like us?
Yeah.
You wouldn't see this Man City do that. You wouldn't see Chelsea do it. You wouldn't see Real Madrid do it. You wouldn't see Inter Milan do it. You wouldn't see the best Turkish team. You wouldn't see Fenerbahce do it. So why should we accept that? We know because we're all on the panel here. We've all seen this club go through the trials and tribulations, under Arsene Wenger. We don't say all this just to piss you off. We say this because we've seen it all before. It's called muscle memory. That never leaves us. That never leaves us as an Arsenal fan. We do not want to see that happen again. And it looks like history is repeating itself again until things start to change. Whether that we know that the board or not, we know the ownership ain't going anywhere. They own this club from top to bottom. We know they ain't going anywhere. But you can still have accountability on the manager. You can still have accountability on the players. I always say when I do my watch along, if I see you have a good performance, I praise you. You play like shit, I call you out. That's not me being toxic or negative. That's just basically saying it as I see it. That's what a normal rational fan would actually do. They call it out for what they see it as. And all 4 of us on this panel and others have said it for the last 3, 4, 5 years now. That we know that, this club can go back to winning major honors. But we have trusted a process for so long now. And at what point do we say enough is enough with this process? Because let me say this to you right now. Brendan Rodgers took Liverpool as far as he could. The minute they stagnated and started falling off, that was when they fired him. Is that what we're waiting for? To actually fall off? Because we're stagnating right now. What we're waiting for to actually fall off out of the Champions League positions.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you one thing. If we have another summer like that last one, we bloody will do. I can promise you that. But listen, man, everyone, I'm gonna wrap it up there. I think my partner wants to come up in the bedroom. Not a happy ending for me, unfortunately, though. But yeah, listen, man. Big up to everyone. If you like what you've seen, don't forget links in the title. They'll be putting everyone's link in as well. give us a follow, give us a sub. Don't forget, if you haven't already, like and subscribe to the channel. You can find me tomorrow at 4 o'clock with Deluded Gooner. And then we've got a couple of other little bits coming up for myself. I also have a call-in show on Friday. I absolutely love, so make sure you're there for that and a few other bits over the weekend. Cole, where can we find you, buddy?
Yeah, from my YouTube channel, Gundown UK. You can find me on Instagram, Gundown UK _33, and you find me on XKB Arsenal Pats 32. Obviously, I have the Arsenal Anger Management Show on Thursday. I am still trying to get. I'm hopeful going to try and get a couple of guests on. One of them, I've been on his channel numerous times after a match reaction show. It's about time that I return the favor. I think I don't need to give you an indication of who I go to on a reaction show. So I think it's about time I try and return the favor. And also I'll have my call-in show Saturday. Don't know what I'm going to talk about Saturday because obviously Arsenal don't play until Tuesday. I think next Tuesday is it?
It's been tough, isn't it, man?
This is a slog. I'll give you the content creator. But yeah, it's but no, that's where you'll catch me on there. And also as well, next Sunday, I might be doing a different sort of stream. And since the people that has come onto my channel, I've gone onto their channel as well. I'd like them all to come together, get together, because next Sunday is my birthday. So I might just do a birthday stream just for the sake of it. Why not? It's on next Sunday and it falls into the Easter holidays as well. So guess what? I've got the Monday off work. So I'm happy about that.
Nice.
So that's what's got coming on next Sunday.
Really,
anyway. But apart from that, and I'll be back doing my watch-alongs as well. I think we play Fulham, don't we, on Tuesday? We're not on TV, are we? I don't think we're on TV. I think
really don't know.
I think the United game's on TNT, I believe. But I don't know.
There'll be ways to watch it. Legal, of course. You know. But yeah. And that's are you there? Because I was going to come to you next, my friend.
Yeah. I'm still there. Like the mutants are messing with my machine again. You know, like the internet's fine, but the cam is a bit fucked. I don't know why. But yeah, thanks for having me on again.
Coming up, bro. Always a pleasure, man. You know that, and I've just as well as his link being in the title, I've been posting them as well.
Big up, chat. Big up for that. Yeah, massive shout out. Much love. That's the official YouTube and Instagram. I don't have any other socials. I don't have Twitter /X. I don't have TikTok. I don't have Snapchat. So it's basically Instagram, YouTube. I will have a video at some point out this week. It will probably go into the realms of similar of what we discussed tonight, about Berta, what he needs to do to get us to the elite, top level. Arteta's running out of ideas, he's on thin fucking ice, if you know. Once I sort out my Mac and all that shit, a few other technical difficulties, I will try and get a proper live stream going at some point very soon. But I want to make sure it's a good enough quality. But yeah, there will be a video out this week. I don't know if it's going to be at the weekend or it could be tomorrow. So stay tuned. I'm still around, and much appreciated for having me on, brother. As always, never take this lightly. Never take this for granted. Big up to Carl. Big up to NORMSKI as well. Big up to this world-class chat, of course. And you will see me very, very soon. Back once again for the Renegade Master. Big up.
Good enough, brother. Now, big up. And as well, man, NORMSKI.
Man.
I will get your link in the description. I've just put it as well in the chat so people can click on it. Thank you very much as well for coming on.
No problems, bro.
Appreciate it. As always, my friend. Where can we find you? And what have you got coming up, my geezer?
So, tomorrow, got a live, do my live What's Going On podcast, 6:30 tomorrow. We'll be talking about the old Trent going the other way to Real Madrid. That's going to be one of our topics tomorrow, as well as looking at MLS and his debut for England, doing really well. But the haters are out there, so we'll be good to be discussing that. So there's a lot to discuss concerning that. Then after that, I'll be back to back, be on Rashid's channel because I think we're there for part 2, isn't it? Part 2.
Yep. I'll be there. We will be there.
We will be there.
Yeah.
More than you
I
believe.
got that on the Wednesday.
I haven't had a formal invite yet, but I'll keep myself.
He said to me, he's trying to.
I'm taking my ball and going home.
He's gonna clip you now. Aaron's gonna clip that now.
No.
Oh, God.
No, big up. No, but yeah. So listen,
I'll just tell him not to invite you.
I'm looking forward to part 2 tomorrow. It's gonna be great. That's gonna be at 8:00. I'll probably be on probably about 10 minutes after, because like my stream, I try to get it ended at 10, but we're such chatterboxes, I mean, it is what it is, bro. But really appreciate. Thank you for having me on, even though I was late to the party. But lateness is as Lee gonna say, lateness is greatness. So
yes, sir.
Yeah. I was gonna thought you would say something about that, Nat. So
I just do me, man. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I just roll up whenever I can. It is what it is, but I'm so laid back. Like, just, unlike this manager, unlike this football club, but we move. Bad boy mafioso Berta for the win. Everyone else down. That's what
you need to conquer that punctuality, mate. Conquer it, geezer. Don't worry, you can conquer the punctuality, mate. But
I'll get there
before I go. Mob, mate. It makes a big difference to everyone, man. Subbing, so I appreciate it. I'm sure
thanks. Big up to Mob Boss, man. Appreciate that, bro.
Absolute legend, man. Everyone appreciates things like that, man. It all helps out. The community is great, and we all deserve it, man. But listen, chat. Have an absolute wicked end to your Tuesday evening. There's only an hour and 20 minutes left of it, so I'm not going to keep you any longer. Thank you very much for the watch. Panel, phenomenal as always, man. And we're going to go. Big up, man. Arteta out.